It is live, and I just got through finished up my videos. Just got through talking about Sinbad, and Sinbad is alive and well. Um, he had a stroke um, a few years ago, given much of a chance to live, and he was speaking on Instagram, and he did a live clip. So um, I thought it was very good to see him back. He one of the few what you call remaining clean comedians. And you know, never heard no one ever come at Sinbad and say anything about Sinbad. No one ever said, "What's up? What's up?" No one's ever said that Sinbad jacked they stuff. No one said that Sinbad was mean and vile to him. Um, just glad that he's alive. And a stroke is real. It's important that we understand about health because I emphasize health is wealth. So I'm glad to see that Sinbad is, you know, it was good to see that video footage. And I just now getting around to doing the video. No, he really didn't. He had some crossover appeal. There was this show called Resurrection Boulevard, Black and Mexican, which came on Showtime. And it was good too. Matter of fact, it's the only time I heard Sinbad curse. He did a good job in that. It was underrated, underappreciated. If you ever get a chance to, if you haven't seen it, Resurrection Boulevard, it came on Showtime. Oh God, when did that thing come out? It was last 15 years or so. And back in the day when I had Showtime, I used to watch it. So of course I seen his movies and now he was in Good Burger, which I loved back in the day, and you know, but I go back to him hosting the Showtime the Apollo and A Different World. And he was before Steve Harvey. He was the clean brother. Well, he was more clean than what Steve did, but well, you know what I mean. He was, you know, amazing. He never got a chance to get to host Family Feud or any of those shows, but I definitely respected him. Anyway, I'm glad to see that he's alive and well, and uh, I wanted to send a shout out to that because I did that. And I just got through doing a video about Ben Simmons. I know, and you know what? The funny thing is, I'm not gonna even lie. I forgot he was still playing. I mean, I knew he was playing, but I forgot, because I just don't hear about him no more. So, sometimes I forget about people. People don't understand that if you're not regularly playing where there's highlights or how you doing, Cottage 81? Anybody with a Mets logo, you definitely gotta talk. I don't usually see someone with a Mets logo, so what's up? So you definitely gotta let me know. And if you're a Mets fan, I want to hear what you got to say. That's real entertaining right there. All right, Cottage 81. Holla, good to see you. I've never had anyone put my name in highlights like that, so it's good. And how you doing tonight? And what's on your mind? I'm up for some good questions. It's starting this weekend off, so definitely looking forward to it. So let's see what we got. Is it blank now? Because I can see you. I don't know what's going on because on my side I can see clear. I'm not having any issues. Yeah, I'm right here. Yeah, because he's got the ring. Because he got the ring. But without the ring, they'd have been in the same boat. See how much one ring makes a difference? Because if I use Doc's Clippers, Sixers, we don't know what's going to happen with Milwaukee. But if he doesn't bring it with Milwaukee, that's a great analysis right there. Because basically, that's who he would be. That's how I know you a basketball head to bring that up because Don Nelson is one of the best coaches that never won it, despite having stacked teams. You know, he just didn't get it done, and that's what Doc would be without that one ring. Well, actually, he's been to two finals. He won one, lost one, but that's more than Don Nelson. Don Nelson never got to the finals, so that's a good one. So you know, and when people say a ring makes a difference, okay, I guess it does. However, if it wasn't for the ring, I'd still have to say he was better because he got further than Don Nelson. I'd still have to say he was better. He got further. Now, Nelson was a better talent scout because he had what I call teams that were there, but um, you got to win. And wellness, wins or losses, Doc did it where it counted the most. So, oh, okay, cool. Okay, glad to see you coming from the two raw side. Well, yeah, it's about wins. It's about how he put his team in perspective because you know Don Nelson had squads in Milwaukee, Golden State. He had teams that didn't get it done, and of course in Dallas too. He brought a lot of firm-based players. He brought a lot of interesting concepts, but I'm gonna tell you what I look at Don Nelson like. Don Nelson is like in that George Carl, not quite with Rick Alderman. Oh, Rick Alderman got the two finals. George Carl got one, but Rick Alderman, Don Nelson, George Carl, and Mike D'Antoni kind of all fall in the same soup of exciting offensive minded coaches, but didn't have the other side covered. So you could take them four guys, those four guys, and they all kind of in the same bubble. And they all got something in common. They didn't win. Now, Rudy T won. He played long ball back tap. It all depends. It all depends on what your criteria. But yeah, Nelson, Carl, Alderman, D'Antoni all fall in the same stew with me. Same. He did, and Carl. Yeah, I said George Carl. They all in the same boat. George Carl, Mike D'Antoni, Rick Alderman, Don Nelson. Yeah, he is, but I'm just talking about his offensive mindset. Yeah, as an offensive mindset, he was in the same cut as those cats. Those are the kind of guys that can coach up offense, don't get the full results. They might get to a finals or they get to West Conference. They'll get something, but they're not finishers. But they haven't their offensive. They won a lot of games. That's the only thing I'm gonna say. Yeah, he a snake, borderline racist, suspect. However, what he got out of his offenses, there's no debating that. You know, he could definitely coach offense. But Don didn't know what to do with Dirk and Steve. Just like he didn't know what to do run TMC and what he didn't know what to do with Sidney Moncrief, Marcus Johnson, Brian Winters, and the Milwaukee situation. He just never had that finish. Yeah. I watch these guys and you see patterns out here. You see a lot of see one thing about basketball, even though it's different, he can. but he won't get that kind of opportunity. Even though it's different with eras and styles, because that's why it's not fair to compare. Um, you see patterns though. You definitely see familiarity. I see a lot of familiarity. Yeah, the names change, the styles change a bit, the way they do it, but there's familiarity. There's only a handful of coaches who know how to what? Get the job done, or they know how to get to the show. A lot of these coaches don't know how to finish it up. They don't know how to coach top tier talent. And I say this all the time. That's why you have to respect Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, because they know how to coach what? Ego. They know what it took to have ego, to make ego work. Um, if you don't, you run yourself ragged and you don't finish up. And that's the difference why a lot of these guys just don't, and that's why they don't, they just don't have that. Yeah, but the thing about it is if you're a head coach, he did, but he didn't get the job done. And you keep everybody you keep naming, I named from Moncrief to a Baron Davis to Dirk and them. Now, what they all got in common? I mean, well, those guys were all considered great or a very top tier at one time, or near top tier. He didn't get the chip. If you're good at coaching one side of the ball, then you understand balance. Because there are coaches who are polishers, and then there are coaches who do X's and O's. There are coaches that are strategists. You got gimmick coaches. There are different levels to this. Gimmick coaches tend to do like what D'Antoni did. Run less people, run more, and manipulate options until they get caught up playing half-court basketball. Thank you. You got to figure out how to utilize your strengths. See, Doug Moe could coach, and he would be interesting now, but I don't know if he could coach the way Michael Malone coaches. He would be more high octane. Thank you, sir. Thank you. He'd be more octane. He'd have more trying to do more, but I don't know if it would work with Jokic. It's a different way of doing it. Now, 40 years ago, they ran like crazy. It wasn't nothing. Guys who scored 40, 50 points weren't shooting a lot of threes. They had incredible balance. And they were scoring a lot of points. However, the difference was it was a different approach to the game. I don't know about how that would work. Some things would work, some wouldn't. I think Doug Moe could work today. Just not in Denver, though. Him and Abdul Rauf would be an incredible, interesting, and Antonio McDyess would have been in a young, would have been interesting. Or him in 94 playoffs. I remember that. That's how traditional would have been. It'd have been interesting. Of course, I don't know if Jokic would have been shooting threes like he does. You see, that's the thing. He takes Patrick Ewing out on the dribble, Rick Smith, Shaq. Depends. I don't know if he would have been green light to shoot threes. Elijah didn't shoot a lot of threes. David Robinson didn't shoot a lot. I'm just saying it wasn't. That's the interesting caveat to what we got. He's from an era where you're big. They let that more so. What they had with him and Abdul Rauf and them, it could have been interesting. He is. I'll tell you why he's underrated. Because they don't give him enough due to being the best player in the league. He's MVP worthy to me. His mental vision to set his team up from the top of the key, to throw those passes to Aaron Gordon. Come on now. That's ridiculous. I saw two of them passes. I'm like, come on. I'm looking at this guy like, he's taken for granted because of his size, because he's not from America. Let's just keep it 100. And he doesn't fanfare. There's no fanboy with him. There's no media darling and old Jokic, no, Nicole, no, there's not that. He's raw bone potatoes, skinned, Mr. Potato Head. Now, oh yeah, and this is for you, Ted. I'm giving people nicknames. So Jokic to me, I call him the ATM. If you hear anybody else say it, you know where you got it from. ATM, because you go to the ATM machine, it gives you everything, spits everything out. Jokic is ATM. And Patrick Mahomes is the magic wand. I know you ain't heard nobody else say that. I was thinking, yeah, I got to give cats nicknames. So Jokic is the ATM. No, he don't. He don't. He don't. And he takes care of himself. He stays concrete. He he doesn't, I mean, he's the ATM machine. That cat just spits it on delivery and makes it happen. I can't think of another nickname for him. You know. Well, I got nicknames for different people. I do. If you ask me about Giannis, I call him the bull because he's got like horns. Yeah, that's how he approaches it. I watch him. He's the bull without the Chicago Bulls. You got a ring, got two league MVPs. Might fool around get another league MVP. Might fool around get another ring. Might fool around get another finals MVP. Um, I call him Wade County's most wanted. Um, Tyler Hero Ball. That's what I call him. Tyler Hero Ball. Because to me, he played hero ball. You know, hero ball. See, it's kind of like his name, and he really be playing hero ball. He do. They, if he came correct with Jimmy Butler and Bam, he would be something. I'm just saying. But he be playing hero ball. He shoot. Look, as a Heat fan, I already know that Hero and Duncan Robinson are in the doghouse. The only reason why they ain't got rid of white boys yet is because they can't get the personnel to complement. He's top 7 right now as far as centers go all time, behind Moses and Hakeem for me. But he wins another ring, another league MVP. He moving close to the top 5 because I'm not gonna wait till his career ends. I can see it right now. He not one. It's like Patrick Mahomes. I don't need 5, 10 years down to say, well, with all no, I didn't see it enough right now. If he don't get hurt, that team stays consistent. Murray, Gordon, and to me, Michael Porter Jr. is the most important. You saw what happened against the Lakers the other night. He ain't missed no shots. He's like their Klay Thompson. He can shoot and go off, athletic, take you off the dribble, plays defense. If he's going, you not beating him. If Aaron Gordon stays in the key, you not beating him. KCP hits his 4 or 5 top of the keys, you not beating him. Jamal Murray keeps sleeping on him. The quietest 25, 26 point guy you gonna see that gets no love. Keep sleeping on him. Yeah, I seen him too. The problem with the Nuggets is that they're the bigger version of Golden State. No one's talking about it because the media's still slurping up LeBron and Lakers or talking about Golden State like they got hope. But the Nuggets are the bigger version of Golden State. Why? Because the bigs can shoot inside and out, and they got size up the front. And no one is talking about the Jokic, Gordon, and um um what make sure I get them all together now because I'm on that the big 3 for the Nuggets have Porter's. Yeah, Porter. The big 3 for the Nuggets got arguably can we make a case? Now they got to win a couple more rings. But could we make a case that the Nuggets front size is almost like the modern day version of the Celtics with Bird, Parrish, and McHale? Can we make that case? Would that be too far fetched with 6'10" and all those guys? Because if you look at what they got, no one can really mess with that. Not when they on. Not when they on. And that's the part. You see, that's the part. And the thing about it, they so quiet that they still confer on get top seed. They so quiet. I know it's too soon, but if Aaron Gordon substantiate, no, he's not going to be Kevin McHale, but he's going to look like him because if you think about it from this angle, he went from being just known in the battle of the slam dunk contest with Zach LaVine for every 5 years to match Golden State and Cleveland to now being a legit in the power forward, where now he's collecting rings. He's actually got a real basketball career, not a career where he's just a slam dunk specialist. And Michael Porter Jr., who I consider like a big version, like Clay, like can score, can handle the rock, can play defense. You know, it's like, okay, these boys can defend, they can handle the rock, they're versatile. Who is seeing that? Now, I'm not going, I know it's a bit too soon, but that's who they kind of put me in a frame of mind of. Can you think of another big three that put you? I'm talking about talented on the tiers. I'm not talking about, you know, because before you come at me about Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, and Tayshaun Prince, wrong answer. Duncan and Robinson, but they never had another three that was like that size. And Buda Edwards, Bill Laimbeer, Rodman don't count like that. I got to go back to Bird, McHale, and Parrish. Now, they're not going to be, you know, Jokic is the only one of the three that will be able to be in that. They play great defense, but they weren't as lethal. I'm talking about is size and threes. What's up, Marcos? I'm talking about size and threes. I'm not talking about big three. I'm talking about size and threes. I'm talking about when you put three guys that were distinctive as threes. I'm not, you know, because I want to make sure they make that clear. This is not about three. I'm talking about the size, not the talent level. No, because only Jokic is gonna get, you know, unless Michael Porter turns into something credible down the line, and Aaron Gordon, you know, adds more to his game. But from the size perspective, they put me in the closest, maybe maybe. And Wade Marshall, LeBron was a different animal. I agree, Marcos. The reason why it's trash is because it's Adam Silver's fault. I hold the commissioner accountable. I don't hold the players accountable. You know, when you were in school, if the substitute teacher let you just talk to girls and spitballs and cut up and do what you wanted to do, that's their fault. You doing what you getting away with. Well, that's what they want. They let the All-Star game be garbage. This is what you got. I can't be mad at the players. I don't like some of the choices they make, and I don't like the attitude. I know he did, but he was a cut from him. Stern had him handpicked, though. Because Stern did a lot of what we call felt like it was fixed. So it's not that far removed if you think about it. It's just that the game is more European. Well, I told you before. I didn't do the video. I saw with Stephen A. Smith. I might do it. I might do a video about that. It made me laugh. If we're gonna do that, then Robert Horry should have about 3 statues, at least 2. Okay, please. Robert Horry should have 2. I'm with you, Marcos. I'm gonna tell you something. I call them the low lights. They call them the highlights. I call them the low lights. I don't generally try to watch too many games no more. I just catch highlights, and because I pretty much know what's gonna happen. I pretty much know. Like the other night when Sacramento played the Lakers, I knew Sabonis was going to tear the behind up of AD, and I knew De'Aaron Fox wasn't going to be stopped. Just things I just kind of know because speed, the eyeball test don't lie. Why you think I'm always turning around right now, and I'm thinking about doing a video about it? They talking about Trae Young, either to the Lakers or San Antonio. Why is that? Because they need guard play. They need a guy that can shoot them logo threes, or there's somebody that, you know. That's not about basketball. It's about trying to get some hype and a guy that can throw the ball. You know, that's what's up. That's why it's so deplorable. There's no defense being played. There's no individuality. There's no characters. People getting this about Anthony Edwards, who I like. And he do put me in a frame of mind, a little bit of D Wade, a little bit of Kobe, a little bit of Jordan, a little bit of Vince Carterish. But I want to see what he morphs into. But all this love. Yeah, well, the rumor is Spurs and Lakers. Now, see, the only way he goes to Lakers, LeBron got to go. Ain't no way in the world LeBron go play with no logo trade. Ain't no way in the world that's gonna happen. Ain't no way in the world it's gonna happen. That's not gonna work. And he's too light in the cakes. He's in that probably in that 12 to 20 power. I gotta think about coaches off the top. You know, had he won a ring, he would have probably been near the 10 as a coach. Probably in that 12 to 24 power. I got a coaches over him, you know. I mean, the obvious ones are over him. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Even though he was in his mini camp as a kid. Trey started off with Braun as a kid. They go back. But ain't no way in the world would he tolerate that. Because Trey, and believe it or not, would be a worse fit than Reeves. And that would not work with them two. I mean, it wouldn't work. Unless, of course, they built the team around AD. Because LeBron would have to be gone. Yeah, as a coach. I said it about Don Nelson. You know, because I'm gonna tell you like this. I don't think he did a better job than George Karl. George Karl got to a finals. George Karl was a perennial got his teams doing pretty good. Most of his teams did good. So I can't say he's better than him. Don Nelson was not better than Jerry Sloan. Okay? Sloan didn't win, but Jerry Sloan is more close to the top 10 than Don Nelson, for my money. Not better than Larry Brown. We talk about X's and O's all the time. Not better than that. Billy Cunningham, you know, got one. The Sixers were perennial. Dr. Jack Ramsey. That's like 6 guys Dr. Jack Ramsey could coach. Portland one, he could coach. Lenny Wilkins, who doesn't get his love, you know. So that's like 7 cats. That's not even talking about Red Holtzman with the Knicks. Thank you. That's not even talking about Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, Popovich, Chuck Daly. So that's 12. You know, that's what I'm saying. He's in that probably in there, you know, Eric Spoelstra if you want to. Some would say Steve Kerr if you want to. So those guys will come up, you know. So that's a bunch right there. So he's not in that class. Red Auerbach, he's not in that class. You know. So that came up about 15, 17 right there off the top. Casey Jones. He's not seeing KC. You know, I'm just thinking off the top, but that's just some guys that come to mind that I just can't put Don Nelson ahead of. You know, Doc's got him beat, so that's another one. Yeah, Doc's got Don Nelson beat. So does Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle got him beat. Now, just because you got a ring doesn't mean I think you're a great coach. Frank Vogel. Yeah, because we don't sit around here bragging about Frank Vogel. And what happened to that defensive guru Frank Vogel is? Phoenix exactly don't stop nobody. No, he ain't better. Doc did more. Doc got the 2 finals. Don Nelson never got to a finals. Doc got the 2 finals with Boston. And he camped out, even though he choked. He was in a conference championship. Don Nelson wasn't that kind of coach. He had better talent. I'm going to give you that. But Doc got more. Because Doc with Blake Griffin, CP3, I think Dirk, Steve Nash will tell you they were better. Chris Mullin, Tim Hardaway, um, Mitch Richmond. Come on now. Yeah, I have to think. See, I'm doing this off the top of my dome. Now, Doc's got him beat. Don Nelson ain't better than that. I think the subtlety of things that he does, he tends to get usage out of his guards off the bench. He does motivate. Because to ask yourself about Austin Rivers, he motivates guys that you least expect. The problem with Doc is that his big guys, his money guys, don't come up for him near enough. That's the downside. Or he'll tend to make a choice and decision that just doesn't. He leaves stuff on the table. That's his problem. But he's a frustrating coach. He's very frustrating. The only reason why what made C81's comment so direct and why they hit is because he was a bench guy, but that was his son. He wouldn't have probably rode much pine if it wasn't for having the last name though. Let's keep that 100. But what I'm saying is, um, the frustrating the thing about Doc without the champ without going to the finals with Boston and stuff, him and Don Nelson would be a real tougher question. It's because he's got there and he won when he lost one, but he got it. You talking about senior or junior because they were two. And you got to specify with me on this one because I remember the father and the son. The father was a third tier guard who used to play for the Houston Rockets with Calvin Murphy and the late Robert Reed and Moses. He was all right. Junior with Golden State was eh. Junior was like a broke. Okay, Junior was like a broke Keith Van Horn, if I remember. Yeah. Um, as a coach or as a player, I will give him credit. They gave him opportunities to be a coach, and he did get to the finals with Magic. He was okay. You know, underwhelming, underwhelming. One of them white boys that got hooked up. I mean, listen, you let Pat Riley go. You know, it's a different animal, different animal, different animal, and you got to come behind Pat Riley. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. But he did, they did bring the Houston lineage to LA because he coached them, and then later was Dale Harris, Liam Nielsen looking self. So, or Sally Jesse Raphael. Depends on how you look at Dale Harris. But Dunleavy Sr. got some run, you know. So, but he's third tier, okay? As a coach, third tier. Yeah, I saw him, and I don't really talk about it because it strikes me like privilege. I mean, he come in behind Jerry West. He was there with, um, yeah, I saw it. That's who Dale Harris remind me of. Every time I see Dale Harris, somewhere between Liam Nelson and Sally Jesse because of glasses. He'd be on there like a mad scientist. Like, how am I going to coach Shaq? How am I going to coach Kobe? How am I going to coach Eddie Jones? How am I going to coach Nick Van Exel? Used to crack me up when I'm seeing over there all, and his glasses fogged up like it too. That's why he got his butt up out of there for Phil Jackson. He had a winning record. He had, but he didn't have coaching. He was good. Dale Harris is another one that falls like that. Yeah. Lester Nielsen. Yeah, that's right. I said Liam Nielsen. I meant to say Lester Nielsen. Naked Gun. Dale Harris is another one that falls in that criteria with those guys that I think about it. Heck no. No, 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 no. Now, had he won in Brooklyn, or he go in Phoenix and win, and he got like 4 rings, then he looks like this is the thing. Duncan is a leader. And Duncan can pretty much do everything Durant can as far as shooting around. Underrated bank shot, underrated top of the key shot, underrated 3-point shot, drive to the hole, handle the rock, defender. Durant is long and wiry, and he's more exciting to watch because he's slinky. Duncan is not fun to watch play basketball. Duncan is like watching a unglazed donut that's just kind of all mushed and bent, but you put it in your mouth and you like it if you like those sort of things, and it's good and tasty to you. But it looks ugly. Certain things that you drink or eat that look ugly, but you like them. That's how his game was when he was banging. But when he was shooting that bank shot, it was smooth. But there's a reason why Shaq called him the big fundamental. Durant is a kind of player that it's like he should be one of the greatest scorers ever. His stroke is incredible. His knowledge of shooting, because now he can shoot anywhere he wants. But you don't get that fire out of him. Duncan gave me that fire. Durant is like too cool for school. if he had Duncan's fire, if he had Duncan's fire, he probably would be top 5 ever. Duncan had fire. That's another thing that doesn't get talked about. Tim Duncan had fire. Duncan would give you that smoke, and he'd give you crazy stat line. But because he wasn't fashionable and he wasn't, pulling a puffy, he wasn't sashaying and dancing for the cameras and grinning, they downplay how great that guy was. I'm telling you. For me, only Shaq had him beat in the Earl O's. For me. Because Duncan was a freaky beast. And I remember 10 years ago when they lost to Miami in the finals, he came back and said, "We're going to win next year." He speaks out. You better listen. He was a incredible, structured, fundamentally sound player. Underappreciated, as far as I'm concerned. You know, that you'd want to learn how he played ball. They don't care about that. He has 5 rings. They'll still tell you Kobe was better. They'll tell you this person's better. They don't care about that. See, if you, yep, and they still wouldn't care about that. It depends on what your criteria is. Do you want to be oohed and odd, or are you going to respect greatness? Or you do both, but everybody ain't cut the same. See? Why is Victor Wemby getting more love than Tim Duncan? They coming all hype. And I'm not knocking Victor, but he should never get more hype than no Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan changed the fortunes of the Spurs forever. Due respect to David Robinson and due respect to George Gervin. But this guy, we're not even thinking about Popovich without Duncan. We're not thinking about Parker and Ginobili's situation without Duncan or Kawhi later. I'm just saying. Because me and my buddy used to chop it up all the time. He said, if you beat the Spurs, that's like winning 2 to 3 rings. That's like beating Parcell. I mean, not Parcell. That's like beating Belichick and the Patriots. And you may as well get 2 rings for that. That's how fundamental, that's how deep it was. He's that guy. Yeah, I still don't know why Pop didn't have him on the floor. Well, yeah, Wemby's got a lot going for him. They just ain't got no guard play. They don't have defense. They gotta tighten up off the bench. There's things that they have to get, in tune with. That's all. Ginobili has the edge in shooting compared to who? Tell me who. I love Ginobili though. I love Ginobili. I'm saying if you put that with Victor Wemby, right? Wemby, you give him a Ginobili and a Parker type, they could be dangerous in 2-3 years. Because I do believe he can take over in a couple of years with the right pieces. But he got to have a piece or two, and they got to tighten up on the defense, and they got to get their bench straight. They got a lot of body work to do. Ginobili and Steve Nash. Far as what? Just tell me what you mean. Oh yeah. Oh, that's a good call. You know what? If De'Aaron Fox don't get no help in Sacramento, because Sabonis aside and Monk when he feels like it, they don't play no defense. Their bench is lackadaisical, and they're a fun team to watch. Okay. Shooting over who though? Because I see what you're saying. I mean shooting, but I like Ginobili a lot. Ginobili was one of my favorite players. But I'm saying like the prototype that Duncan had with Ginobili and Parker, and then Bruce Bowen on, that was a great combo. And that's what Victor Wemby, that would actually work right now, that style. If you could bring those kind of cats with him, because they need some defense. Their problem is they don't play no defense, and they run and gun, and their bench is suspect. So, yeah. Yeah. That's my problem with them right now. If you want to get the best of him. Well, he was a starter. I'm not going to argue that because Nash did 50-40, but Ginobili fit better. That's all. And plus, Popovich wouldn't have tolerated Nash. Nash was turnover prone. He didn't play no defense, and he was pretty much one dimensional. Ginobili did all the flopping and the acting, and he played defense and he hustled. He had better hustle. That's the difference. What a guy does in terms of being an individual player and what a guy does as far as complimenting your team is two different things. I know what you're getting at, but it also depends on what system you're in. That's why system players are different than starters, because we talk about roles. You talk about, you can't put just anybody in that team and get the same results, just no matter how good their skills are. We talk about if we did this and we did that. Everybody can't make it work like that because everybody ain't cut like that. You got to know how to get the right yin and yang. You ask me guys who fit any role, that's a Dennis Rodman. That was a Robert Ory. Okay. Guys like that. You saw the results. You got to figure out how you going to make guys work to you. Now, when you're talking about starting guards, shooters and stuff, that's a whole different animal because Nash, yeah, back-to-back MVP. But would that have worked with San Antonio over Tony Parker? I don't think so. Tony Parker did get a Finals MVP. They played a different style of basketball. They had a different onus on defense, half court. One of the problems Nash went into with Phoenix was that D'Antoni didn't really work on fundamentals as far as half court basketball. That's what Amari Stoudemire said. He didn't really play deep. He didn't really play that way. That's when they had Shaq. They were kind of stagnant. So yeah, they could score with you, but they couldn't stop you. Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying. But it's just one of those things. That's all. Yeah, and he messed it up. He got too cocky, kind of like what he still do now, where he be popping off of me. But he got too cocky. They were missing a three. I'm a firm believer they had him at shooting guard before they won that chip against Cleveland. I'm a firm believer they had Steven Jack. They probably would have won a couple more rings. I am a firm believer that they were missing him. Now, this will sound archaic to say that because you can't even, if you're looking in the last 5-10 years, you don't even think about I need a three to win. A shooting guard, small forward. But at that time, he fit them like a glove. His style complimented him. And he got a little arrogant. That's why his butt ended up in Indiana. That was something that didn't work. And if health wasn't an issue and he was younger, I tell you, a guy like LaMarcus Aldridge with Victor Wemby would be scary too. LaMarcus was a good fit there. Would have been a good fit. As far as talent, yeah, I'm gonna tell you like this. You're gonna name me a lot of guys who were starting point guards, and I will take them over Ginobili. But if you ask me who I'd rather have, I take Ginobili. Asking me better, yeah, he had better skill set. He was a better pure shooter, assist man. Ask me who's a better team player to win championships. I'm telling you, Ginobili, because the concept of the team, you got more out of him. Marbury was a better one-on-one skill. Now, I liked him over in China. Those, he got some rings over there. I like that. But he didn't do it over here. And Ginobili was a better fit. Better fit. I won't argue. He won't get it, but they will hold some of his stats together. I won't argue, though. I'm not going to argue. I liked him better. And Lord knows he's a better teammate. And he did more hustle points. And he definitely came up bigger. No one remembers a Dame big impact series past a first round, hardly. And maybe one second round. You don't even remember. It's getting to a point where you're forgetting him past the second round. We're going to find out what happens soon in Milwaukee. But you're getting to a point where you're forgetting about him because he hasn't had a lot of memorable moments in the postseason. He just hasn't. And he didn't do much with them. Not like that. Not like that. Look, I love Marbury. I used to say that he was a better, this going to sound twisted, but you got to work with me. I said he was a better version of Iverson if Iverson was a straight shooter and dribbled and played. Iverson was more reckless, his herky-jerky way. Marbury was actually more linear. But Iverson got more of that style with that edge and attitude, and then it worked. Marbury was always conflicting with Kevin Garnett and other people. He was backbiting, and that's what Jason Kidd did too. That's why they were both kind of in the same boat once upon a time before Jason Kidd got his act together. And once he got to the Nets, you pretty much almost forgot about Starbury. I do like his shoes too, by the way. They were economical. But guy attitude costs you. We can sit here all day and say this guy's better. I liked him in Toronto. I didn't like him in Portland. I give you in Toronto, he looked like he was going to be on something. He got to Portland. They got to West Conference Finals. And him and Sheed was hitting the bone. And I just didn't feel his game elevated. It just didn't go where it should have gone. I liked him, but I liked him better in Toronto. I'm just saying. When he was with the Baby Raptors, I thought I saw something there. It didn't really manifest to me in Portland. And I kind of forgot all about him, if I'm honest. I'm being honest with you. Because I didn't think he got the most of his game. Yeah, we can sit here and debate. I can put Marbury over a lot. A lot of people going to come over Ginobili. But if you ask me how many people outworked Ginobili, now that's another story. And I got more respect for a cat that outworks you. Okay, how talented you are. That's what I'm saying. That would have been scary. But T-Mac wasn't at maturation point. Vince was. Vince peaked soon. And Stoudemire was in that pretty good to really good bubble coming floating. But it's hard to say in hindsight because, again, Vince had his peak. He peaked before them, and he peaked quicker. If I'm going by overall totality, I say yes. But if we're going by skill set, I'm gonna say Barry. There's the difference. Bird was a better pure scorer because he could score 20 plus and give you 6, 8 dimes. He had some record for about 5 or 6 years, which was equivalent to what Oscar Robinson did. They was talking about it. Bird was bad. Had handles. New York kid could do that. Ginobili would take you off the dribble and he would work you. But he wasn't asked to do that. He was getting rebounds. He was getting steals. He was getting assists. He was flopping. He gave you a theater. He gave you more of a potpourri of different things. Oh God, I don't know. That dunk in the Olympics still is like mind blowing. I mean, that one alone over that 7-footer was insane. That was insane. That in the slam dunk contest. I mean, Vince from late 98 to about 02, he was must see TV. He was a bad boy until he lost that Eastern Conference Finals to Iverson, and that pretty much he went to go get his cap and gown. That pretty much he was never the same after that. Yeah, I know. That was a wicked dunk too. Yeah, I know Ginobili a bad dude. Look, I love Ginobili. You're not getting no argument from me. Not too many people outwork Ginobili. Yeah, if you dunked on Zoe, that was nasty. And Vince could get up. Vince is my all-time favorite dunker. I said that. You give me Vince, Dominique, Dr. J, and then Jordan, probably. In that order. Because Vince was must-see TV. Don't get nobody. You ain't never going to hear me say otherwise. He was. He had a couple of filthy, nasty ones, but the problem was that's when Golden State they sucked. And it's only if you're a basketball nerd and you care about that at that era that you talk about. I mean, I agree with you because he had a couple that were rockers. It's just that he came after Vince Carter, and it just didn't quite. It was bad. It was filthy. Like I'll put it like neck and neck with Isaiah Ryder's East Bay Funk dunk, the East Bay Funk. I'll give you that. But coming after Vince, though, I mean, most people didn't even really care about the dunk contest until Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine because Vince had put a number on it. I mean, that night I hadn't seen anything like it. Let me just say it like that. And up to that point, I'd been watching dunks for many years, and that was like exclamation. Put hand through the net. I mean, he was in the zone. Yeah. But you understand? It's like when you see a great performer, right? Dirk's probably somewhere 13 to 23, probably. You can make cases, but probably in the late teens, high 20s, probably. I like Dirk a lot. And I'm probably one of the few people that still think I take Dirk over Durant. I think what he did, he got the two finals. He was the top dog. There was no sidekick. I mean, I know you can come at me with Jason Terry and them and all if you want. It was nothing, not like that. I mean, Jason Kidd came up big in there, and Barrera and Page played all right. But come on now, when he won that chip in 2011, that was one of the most impressive runs I ever seen. Swept Kobe, beat Durant, beat LeBron. I mean, just he was on another level. He's underappreciated. League MVP, Finals MVP, All Star, 30 plus thousand points. You know, he's the closest thing that you'll say a foreign bird, if you want to almost call him that, a foreign bird. Almost. They all memorable. That's the only thing I could say because if you ever watched one of them, to see any city get it and they really get it, it's really special. And I know it's generalization, but they all had their moments. I can't really say that one knocked me out more than another. Yeah, because of his versatility, because of his range, and he was part of the trajectory of the game. You know, you think about it, Dirk is the link between Reggie Miller's kick and Durant. A lot of them got their stuff off of Dirk. We're using their leg and the fly and the fail back, the fall back, and then the high arch when he fall back. Dirk had a unstoppable shot, and I do hold him in high regard. I'll tell you why I've said this with Ted, and I'll tell you C81 why. He came into the league, Robert Tractor Trailer, when I'm a Michigan Wolverines fan. I don't know if you know this or not with about Tractor. Tractor was considered a high top pick. Now, rest in peace to Tractor because he died. No one knew about no Dirk Nowitzki. Don Nelson, when they made that trade, they laughed. They like, Dirk who? They were sniggling. Well, Tractor Trailer just ate pork chops, and unfortunately, he rest in peace. He just chop and ate himself out the league. Dirk got better. Dirk became an all-star, all that. Yeah, that's the one that lost to the Heat in the finals in '06. And then they ended up getting beat the next year by Golden State when Brian Davis put a hip on his behind. So so yeah, well, when we got that outside shot, I mean, KD's a good person to emulate. If you know how to utilize your body. Well, yeah, he's long and wiry. Um, he's gonna be deceptively stronger, quick. So I can see that. But he got to have a better guard play around him too. That's all I see it. You know, I watch the footwork. So that's what Victor will get better with. How he picks up. Obviously getting back cuts, guys hitting him in his ribs. How he, his strength, the different things he does. I saw it. I saw him get it with that left hand. I was impressed. He got spring in him. I'm gonna give him that. Yeah, and I hate to say that too because I loved him. Dug him as a player, and he got the Nets to 2 finals. But when he came out to the Lakers, he said one of the most horrific things I ever heard a head coach say. And this is when 3 pointers was kicking. He says, "We can make twos. We ain't got to shoot threes. We'll be okay." He said that with a straight face. He actually sat at the podium and was like, "It's okay. We don't have to shoot threes. We'll just make twos." I'm like, "What the heck are you saying?" So yeah, and then he got fired. They got his butt up out of there. I'm like, what kind of crackhead? What kind of crackhead logic? You know what I'm saying, Ted? I'm like, we talking about, yeah, it's on one of them YouTube reels because I remember he got interviewed and he was at the podium. He's like, yeah, it's okay. They can shoot threes. We just gonna shoot twos. I'm like, did you really say that? Do you not notice that this league done changed? Are you not aware of that? They didn't have no Steph Curry on this team. They ain't had no James Harden on this team. You know Kevin Durant on this team. You got shooters. You ain't got them shooters. You ain't got no Ray Allen on your team. When you say stuff, don't let nobody, you know, it'd be one thing if you said twos. He was at the height of the era when the threes was kicking in, and he made that remark, and I was like, oh, this guy. And yep, he got fired. Didn't last long. So to answer your question, yeah, I hate to say it, but yeah. Well, yeah. Most people do, and nobody knows who their coaches are. Just saying. Nobody remembers because they sucked a lot. That's why. He did some suspect things with how he ran his guards and stuff. And so that's why you know, he, you know, like I said before, he owes Jason Kidd a check and a half because he really, you know, yeah, he's overrated. He got 2 finals appearances, but I don't hold him in the same breath as I do Rick Alderman. I don't. Because I didn't see multiple runs of great to good, good to great. He had that moment with the Nets, and it felt like an outer body. It feels like an outer body. Yeah, but he didn't get what Kenyon Martin and them. They didn't get, you know. Well, they all feel they should be starters, and they want a bigger role. Um, that's the biggest thing. Their ego. Some of them don't have a problem with it. Some of them do. So, you know. I mean, Kevin McHale proved he could come off and do it and be a starter. So did James Harden. Ginobili flirted with both points. So some guys can make it and flip it and they can get in it. And if you got any versatility and you're willing to do the work, they might work you, you know. Or he made himself, obviously. So, you got to have hustle in you. Oh, they start complaining to the media about not getting playing time and they talking codes and they looking for ways. You know. I said I love Ginobili. I said, but he was a 6 man though. And then he got himself into the lineup. He was right. He was doing multiple. He was Ginobili. Let me use an NFL analogy, except Ginobili was better. Kind of like what Troy Brown was to New England when he would play secondary, punt returns, receiver for Brady when they won their first 3 chips. That's kind of how Ginobili was with the Spurs. He's a quicker picker upper, like Rosie, he do everything. He did. Because Kid didn't want to be worked like that. And you kind of notice how it's kind of similar to how he coaches Dallas. You kind of see how he still is. Because I don't be understanding his logistics. He's not getting his message over good enough to me. I tell you all the time, there are guys who can coach ego and guys who can't. Or some guys still got the ego. Kid's ego, I don't know. He's not getting the message over to Tim Hardaway Jr. Kyrie's playing all right, and we're gonna see how this all turns out. But they got to keep an eye on Jason Kidd in the postseason because if Luka ain't feeling it, his butt's gone. He did. He got that OP looking white boy to replace him in Jersey. I remember. Yeah, Lawrence Frank. I remember. Well, the plan was Popovich was looking at him. Pop was looking at making that trade, but they didn't. No, thank goodness they didn't, because Kidd and Duncan would have been great, but Parker was a great fit. Yeah, he's better than Muhammad. Yeah, to me, yeah. Got more rings already, more appearances, more clutch in the Super Bowl, more clutch in the postseason, better winning percentage, throws for a chunk of yards, multiple league MVPs. Yes, it ain't even. I don't need 5, 6 years to talk about Mahomes. Ted will tell you, I'm not one of them kind of people. Some people talk, well, I got to see how it turn out. No, I didn't see enough of Mahomes. I didn't see enough of Mahomes already. Top 3 ever. And you can debate him against Brady and Montana right now. It's like Tiger Woods. I don't need to see, because it's gonna be another ring. It's gonna be I don't need. I already know. I see it. That's why I call him the Magic Wand. The Magic Wand. That's Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not like Nick Wright. So because I don't, but it's because I've seen enough. This guy is really that good. Even Mad Dog Russo, who's stuck in 1954, will tell you Mahomes. It wouldn't ruin because Pop wouldn't go for it. Pop would have had his behind shooting actually more and driving. And he would have to actually play defense and run into that circle to balance off that team. He wouldn't be doing the stuff he did in the Nets when he was flicking at Kmart and Jefferson, because they ran more of give and go, all that the way they run. Duncan and Ginobili and them, you'd have to. I'm saying, yeah, I know. He's funny though, because I watch First Thing First. He make me laugh, and he stays riding for Mahomes and LeBron. But I'm saying he's right about Mahomes. That one he's right about. No, I don't like Nick wrong. He make me laugh because he always talk crazy, especially his NBA takes. But he right about Mahomes. The Magic Wand is the truth. That dude is the truth. I don't think I'm going to see a more talented quarterback emerge, especially in this day and time when you got black and white top tier quarterbacks and you can debate. Yeah. But he do got a Pelican nose. But no, Kid would have been dealt with by Pop. It wouldn't have been none of that. Y'all go on fast breaks, but you got to play with in concert with what the team is doing. So he got away with that in Brooklyn and in New Jersey because they didn't have a dominant center, and they were a team that was utilizing kind of like a pitch and run. Their style of offense was geared a certain way, and that's when they went against the Lakers and the Spurs and they got handed in the box. But they were able to run, and they were able to, utilize with Kittles, Keith Van Horn, Kmart, and Jefferson. But Jason Kidd couldn't shoot threes back then either. Remember that? That's why they didn't go. That's why that trade didn't really go through too. Pop ain't gonna go for a guy who was self-checked. I'm gonna tell you. So if you ever play 21, you play against a guy who can't shoot outside. Everybody be banging up in the leg. He be out there all by himself shooting all day. He's self-service. Like he going to the gas station. You handle it. You on pump 2. We just gonna wait till the gas get in the car. That's how Jason Kidd was back then. He was self-serve. He couldn't shoot. Couldn't make no threes. Yeah, I do. What about him? Boozer is only known for 2 things. His arrogance going to Utah with Deron Williams and also renting the house out to Prince. That's the only thing people remember him for. The Prince house and playing with Utah. Him and Deron Williams actually having the audacity to think they were the modern day version of Stockton and Malone, which was hilarious. And of course, when Prince had the 3121 album out, and he refurbished the Boozer's house and took it out and redid it. That's all he's known for. His game is not memorable. But I do remember him. We got over on a blind man bruise. Yeah, the jokes kind of write themselves. I mean, he had potential to be good. He had some moments, but I don't know if it was the Hollywood. I don't know what happened. He got to. He left LeBron. He went to Utah. He went to Lakers. He went around Chicago, and he had good opportunities. He just kind of bummed out. Yeah. Oh yeah, C81. I saw on this thing when I talked with Ted, we got this thing called yeah, I did too. We got bumps and scrubs. Bums is guys that should have been good to great, but they settle for mediocrity and they kind of like I feel like it. Well, that's how Boozer was. He kind of felt like playing and sometimes he didn't. And then he just became like a cat that you just kind of forgot. Jermaine O'Neal got better once he got out of Portland because he was a puppy back then. And again, I want guys to come directly to the NBA, but you can kind of tell it's going to take 2 or 3 years to get you straight. When he got to Indiana, he was on par. He was a good player. Just didn't have the squads around him, and I think that kind of curved it out with him. But he was a good player though. So, but yeah, I liked him too. Brandon was cool, brother. Cleveland to Portland. Brandon was nice. Terry was nice. It was good. I remember these cats. Some of them they were good. Circumstances, situations, and a lot of times again, it goes to where guys play coaching. Now, no, not the way they came back to win the reigns because they had overcome Phoenix 2 years in a row. Um, he figured out a way to utilize the reason why he ain't is because yeah, I remember that. The reason why he's not is because they utilize the mixture of Olajuwon and Maxwell. And then when they got Drew Clyde, but also how to use Mario Ellie, Sam Cassell, Kenny Smith, and Robert Ory. Somehow he became a prototype for what's happening. How you doing? Good to see you, Kelly. How you doing? Rudy T's style actually became a prototype to a lot of what you see now. If you think about it. Because Olajuwon was a versatile big. So you had guys who could hit corner shots. They were shooting the threes. Even had Bryce Price looking like he was something. Well, that's funny when I think about that. But yeah, I mean, they came in and that that's one of those that's something that doesn't get talked about. But yeah, he definitely and their defense was legit. They made stops when they had to. They could defend. They never had a give up attitude. Now they were overmatched talent wise, yes. But the reason why he's underappreciated as a coach, he had those guys. That's why Sam Cassell, if you talk about Sam Cassell, fast forward 12 years later with the Celtics when they beat the Lakers in '08, he came from that Rockets team. Think about it. You know, mindset. Mario Ellie went to San Antonio, hit some shots, used to blow kisses when he shoot. I remember all that. And that worked. They had the right pedigree. And of course, I ain't got to tell you about Robert Ory. I ain't got to say nothing about Will Smith. Robert Ory, aka Will Smith, was slapping, knocking you out. Big shot Rob. That's all connected. So now that man coached up. Vernon Maxwell wasn't so crazy and had to stay coherent. He would have been mentioned in the really good, very good, because he was a tough dude. Man, Bullet hit big shots. I'm just saying, yeah, they did. Yeah, the Cleveland team did too. Yeah. Did I say George Carl was better than Rudy T? The only reason if I did say that, and I'm not gonna contradict myself, is because Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, And then he did okay in Milwaukee. He had a good run in Denver. You actually had more body. I said this. George Karl tried to do what Rudy T did with the back tap, the long rebounds, multiple shots, offensive style. But George Karl did get more out of his teams. He didn't win, but he did get to finals. He did get those. He had players that definitely represent, because he was the best coach that Gary Payton ever had. He was the best coach Carmelo Anthony ever had. So I can make a case for him over Rudy T. What's up? What's up? What's up? QK, what's up? I can make a case. Rings don't always. Rings don't always, but they do have some arguments. They have a lot of arguments, but not always. He did. He did. I watched that Denver team. David Goggins, okay. He did. Camby's like that's a throwback, because that cat played like 20 years strictly get them boards, but he did his point. He did his part. You just ain't gonna see that no more. You're not gonna see that no more. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because you have to understand how to make that work. You know, that had to work a certain way. That was interesting, orchestrated. You know, and he definitely fought. He had to fight Elijah one. They had to do a different style to win. Gotta remember, they had guard play that was not top tier. And you had to rely on your second team to create, bring you back, engineer. They did all that. You know, he was he came up with some big plan. Things worked. Now, thank you. Obviously, he went to LA. He couldn't coach Kobe. That didn't last, but like that was like pretty much a 2-hour shut-eye nap. Yeah, I know. He's not overrated. Mm-mm. You know, I respect Rudy Chi. Um, he they were prepared, and I remember how they did. Hmm. Who would I say from the 90s? You make a case for Tony Kukoc. Laugh if you want, but he came up big in that system with the Bulls. He was big. Um, I want to say Deadlift Shrimp, even though he wasn't. They were different guys. That's like I said, that's a different era, because when I think about six men, they had different meaning. You know, Obviously Ori is the only one that really matters for the most part because of what he represented. You know, but I think that the teams that won, Rockets and the Bulls, and you can make the case with the Spurs with Sean Elliott. I think he came off the bench. I want to make sure. I think he did. And I got a member on Detroit who was a six man, but those teams, they utilize that. Ricky was nice. Ricky was nice. But again, that's a different era. Big difference between the 80s and the 90s. Because guys in the 90s that were role players, um, okay, let me answer this question. This is a good one. Yeah, but I like Parker better though. But CP3's statistical standpoint, impact will carry more weight. Tony's actually underrated. Tony for me with the teardrop was incredible. Yeah, I like Ricky. Ricky was tough. Different era, but again, and a lot of times the team you play for and circumstances. But yeah, different era though. Different era. And 40 years ago, if you was getting those kind of points, but it was selective defense. It wasn't like everybody was playing top tier defense. Let's not get it twisted, because everybody wasn't playing like the Pistons did or the Knicks ended up playing in the 80s. There was different levels of Boston. It was different defense. Everybody wasn't playing like that. That's not to diminish him, but it's not to actually act like it was all like slugfest. It wasn't like the 90s. The 90s defense was actually more slow and methodical than the 80s was. But the 80s, everybody played at a certain boat. Yeah, Chris Paul. If Chris Paul had more better postseason, if he had one of Tony Parker's rings right now, he'd be considered top five point guard. Not necessarily by me, but uh, he would be. Tony Parker will never get that love with four rings. He hurt his injury. He ankled his injury last night because I saw 15 points. I didn't hear he had an ankle injury, and it depends on how long he's out. If he's out, they're done anyway. Though, even if he's playing, they're done. I mean, I ain't heard anything about Steph, but they're done anyway. They're like the Lakers. Okay. They're like the Lakers. They win a game, they lose a game. They get blowed out a game, they blow you out. There's no continuity. They just not a consistent team no more. So even if he played at his, even if he was healthy, they're not a threat for nothing. Uh, he's considered one of the 75 greatest too. Probably 60 to 70 range. Well, CP3 hurt anyway. He wasn't gonna do nothing. I had no faith in him because I mean he's just trying to hang on there and hope lightning strikes. There's no there's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. How about tough on him? He underachieved in the postseason. His postseason career is why he's not talked about as a top five. Because C81 just asked me, I don't make this up. If he don't blow that 3-1 lead with the Clippers, he don't choke that ball against Oklahoma City. Was it 2013? That one in the he choked Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson got a career because of CP3 choking in the postseason. If you remember that playoff game, and then against Milwaukee 2 years ago, and then with the Rockets against the Golden State when Clay went off in Game 6. I give you four examples. They want to put him top five bad. They got it. They got it bad to bring him up. He's the one that came up short. I don't make it up. That's what I'm saying. And see, yeah, Josh Smith was he was so frustrating because I told you about him. Whenever I feel like, and he went off, and I know CP3 was rolling his eyes when they hit him upside the mouth because the guy didn't do that for him. He went off for that series against him. He That's what's hurting. That's what hurts CP3's argument. The media will have you thinking that he's top 5 point. They want if he won a ring. Oh yeah, bet your bottom dollar they move him up. And C81, see that's what I was talking about. Tony Parker, even with 4 rings and a Finals MVP, couldn't even crack top 7 for them. But CP3, because he got anointed, but not by me though. His postseason is what works against him. Regular season, he's legit, but his postseason. So I don't make it up. True. True. That's what to answer your question. That's why he's not given more flowers, if you will. They would have this cat probably ranked top 30 to 35 if he had one ring. Believe me, they wanted bad because he was the NBA president and they slurp him. But his postseason, so did Devin Booker. Let's not act like D Booker wasn't a part of that too. But he got outplayed when they got physical, when they put Drew Holiday on CP3 and he started to get tight, knocked the wind out of him. And then when they got smashed by Dallas, yeah, and they both went down. And then what? They was ate up, and then Dayton got ate up by Giannis. That was it. But he looked like he was headed towards some of the first two games. They won the first two games, you remember. And they were all ready to anoint him. They was all ready to say he's top 5 point guard, and they were getting ready to slurp him and put a ribbon and a bouquet of flowers, and then that onslaught came. They didn't wanna double and build a wall against Giannis, and then Giannis went barbecue chicken on him. So that's what happened. That's what happened. And they haven't been the same since. That's when they went on, got Durant and got Bradley Beal, fired the coach, got rid of the Ayton, and now they stuck with Nurkic and that. And they could be a little bit of a threat. Do I think they can come out? No. I just wonder if Durant's gonna get hurt or Booker get hurt or Beal get hurt, or they're gonna get exposed for being undersized and they're gonna look for somebody. Yeah, I like him too, but I don't see them as a threat. You know, like if they're top four team in the West or so, I still got Denver right here, and then there's somewhere like right in here because I just don't really see it like that. I don't. I think Durant will score a lot of points and they'll go good and all that, but I just don't quite, they're better than the lower case. I'll give you that. Yeah, they're a good young team. Young team. He's not rated at all because he's not really a guy that we really get into debates with. He's not a guy that I sit there and say over or under. He was a decent player. Had a couple good seasons. I mean, you can debate his Atlanta years with his Dallas years. I give him respect, but not a guy that I'm sitting there talking about. Is he on the fence as a Hall of Famer, or did they miss him for an All Star game? No, no. And I remember him when he Rainier Beach in Washington State, high school player, but not a guy that you sit there and debate. Had some big moments, but not like where you're debating him. No, I don't debate Jason Terry. I'll just say he's not really rated at all. It's not over, it's not under. He was a solid player. Had some good seasons. Not somebody that I really sit there and debate though. Yeah, Water. What's up, Water? Less turnovers and more consistency. And health. They gotta have good health. Frank Vogel got good defensive stops and they gotta, be able to match up. So I think the Suns could be viable if, again, we don't know what Minnesota's gonna need. Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. We don't know. But if I'm looking and being honest, Denver's front and center, and then everybody after that is debatable. So you might get your wish with the Phoenix getting deep. Because I do think that OKC's got holes in their repertoire. Minnesota's got holes. Yeah, but I just think that Phoenix is just they're trying to go high volume right now. So don't be surprised if Durant and Booker just open up the arsenal and just shoot away. You know, well, he had COVID twice, so that probably got into his system because he got sick pretty bad. If you, I don't know if when he was in Washington, and he one of them guys that is a glorified stat pattern. I mean, you stand there in Washington, you played for like 25 years. That's what's gonna happen with Kyle Culver. It didn't happen to Jordan Poole, but Bradley Beal was up there with Gil. He was stat padding, riding sidekick. One with Gilbert, but him and when Russell Westbrook was there. And he scored a lot of points. But he got old because he was in DC for like 20 years. You get old there quick too, because your butt gonna get blowed out every night. You ain't winning nothing. Okay, this is good. You must have been watching my Vigor reviews when I asked this. Talent wise, well, as far as being able to put numbers and stuff, yes. But come clutch time, no, no. No, Rapey Burger got him beat because the old Reiki Burger, we call him Rapey Burger. Don't censor me, but it's a fact if you know about his antics that there was no Me Too for Roethlisberger. No, Big Ben came a big, postseason clutchness. Breeze had a better route in the NFC. However, for whatever reason, couldn't get it done. Couldn't get it done. Had a great opportunity with the Chargers. Had some great talent around him. Now, winning a ring is a big deal, but when you consider the options he had, he just didn't get it done. Oh well, Warren Moon is one of them. I mean, and I think Doug Williams is underrated too. I really do. Um, hmm. Steve DeBerg, ironically, I consider him more of a second tier filler in. McNair he was tough. He'll never get his due for how tough he was. He was tough. And not having what I call a potent offensive force because he had Eddie George and but um Brunel was good. I wasn't blown away by Brunel. He was good. I don't look at him as underrated though. He was good. When I think about underrated, I think about a guy that didn't get the fair shake because he was really that good or what have you, and there was a lot of other factors going on. I don't think nobody missed anything with Brunel. I don't think he was missed like that. I would say that about McNair, even though he got to the Super Bowl, they didn't realize how tough he was because he really did lead that squad, you know. So, I got to see you doing certain things where I go, yeah. So, who did I say? Drew Pearson. Because they took him forever and a day to get in the Hall of Fame, and they used that against him. Harold Carmichael. I think a lot of the older ones, because again, Roy Green, guys that because they play in a different era and stats are so different. John Stallworth, because he was the better receiver in Pittsburgh, but Swan got all the limelight and the hype, you know. Um, John Taylor was one of them with the 49ers. I thought that was a bad dude as a sidekick to Jerry Rice. He was legit. I think Andre Reed of the Bills is underrated. I don't think you get near enough that he should get. Um, okay, let me address that just real quick. Oh, whatchamacallit for Jacksonville as a receiver. I thought he was underrated. Let me answer Mike's question. Let me answer this real quick. Let me go back to George Carlin. I'm gonna get to that. What's happening, Mike? How you doing? Cheers from the Raider game. Appreciate you. Glad you stopped through. George Carl, um, it's a over and an under. Over because he didn't get all the stuff done with Seattle when they had the best record in '94, and of course they lost the finals to the Bulls 2 years later. And he had some situations where he could have gotten more out of it. Underrated because he kept consistent teams. So he's kind of one of those guys that falls where he should have won, but it's been kind of down. It's so he kind of brought that on himself. But Nick Foles would get some attention as underrated. Well, yeah, because I'm gonna tell you why. Normally, I would say as a backup quarterback, I put you in the Jeff Garcia, maybe you out of bite experience moment. But because he fits so well in Philadelphia, I cannot overlook how great he was in Philly. Like he was okay in Chicago and then Jacksonville, but in Philly, he fit. Like him and Carson Wentz, that was a real debate. That was real. So I won't argue. I won't argue that. He won the Super Bowl. He was MVP. I won't argue in Philly because they remember that game against that. Was that next year against Atlanta? Was that game? Yeah. They just missed a pass down the field from winning that game the next year when he came in. And if they go and win that, they probably would have made on. He fit like Philly. And it was a real house divided. Yeah, he was a unique situation. Okay. Was it the Saints? Okay, I thought it was the Bears. Well, yeah, but anyway, it was that pass. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, okay. That pass drop. What happened makes that play, and I was like, wow. Okay, let me address this about Aikman. That's true because he hated Barry Switzer, and at that time he had disdain for Jerry Jones for firing. Okay, it was bad. Okay. He was firing Jimmy Johnson because there was a different level of disorder and respect between how they looked at Jimmy Johnson and how they looked at Barry Switzer. Yeah, they did. But he's talking about Nick Foles. He's talking about Nick Foles. We just talking about Nick Foles in the playoff game because I'm trying to remember he went against. He threw a pass. It got deflected. Something because if that pass had connected, they probably win that game. And they could have probably gotten back to Super Bowl with Nick Foles. That's when Carson Wentz. That's what I was talking about. So, Aikman, he one of the greatest things I've ever saw. Aikman, the problem was that they wanted him to do choreograph. So they had Troy Aikman out there like Paul Abdul doing steps and stuff. He wasn't used to running bootlegs and moving. He did. And Aikman resented that because he liked that discipline. He liked being the main guy. Switzer and Aikman had ish. And they won the Super Bowl, but there wasn't no love there. It felt like it was Jimmy's team with that substitute teacher who was a disciplinarian who came in to oversee. But there wasn't no love there. And then, of course, he had him run naked bootlegs. He's treating Aikman like he was J.C. Watts. Was hilarious because Aikman couldn't move that quick. So when he started getting all those concussions, Aikman can say that about the Super Bowls, and that's true because as you win multiple rings, you're going to say that. But the reason is because the discipline wasn't there. The team was no longer the same. The focus was no longer there. And it became more of a party and a club than it became about cohesiveness. And when Jerry Jones said, I can get 499 other guys to coach and he get Barry Switzer, that's what. And for the most part, yeah, because he messed up the offense. That's why. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why. But I got respect for him. But he'll never be in nobody's top 10 ever, even with 3 rings. Because he had an incredible offensive line, he had a durable running back, and a great receiver, and an incredible defense. So he's kind of like, that's why I did a video where I mentioned who was better out of Troy Aikman and Terry Bradshaw. Because they both kind of fall in the same bubble, even though Aikman got a better spiral. But Aikman will never, ever replace Roger Staubach in Cowboy land. Ever. Barely over Don Meredith. And I think if Tony Romo had won a ring, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not saying you don't have to make the throws. And he did make throws. But he's not revered Aikman is, this is why I see 81 saying he's not revered. He's not. No one ever has Aikman with Mahomes, Brady, Montana, Peyton Manning, John Elway, Aaron Rodgers. Or some people don't even put him with Brett Favre. Don't let the rings fool you. They don't. I talk to heads all the time. I know Aikman heads, but Aikman heads don't really. He don't. And I'll throw another name at you. Dan Marino get more love than Troy in these streets right now. Dan Marino with no rings, one Super Bowl appearance, a runner-up, one appearance. Just trying to tell you. There you go. That's what I'm saying. They don't look at Aikman like that. So when C81 asks was he overrated, if I can throw up about 8 other dudes and 3 of them got 3 rings to at least to match him, but 2 of them got more than him. But one, when you look at all of some of them in there ain't got but 1, 2. There, I think it was his timing, because he would actually, when he would work the field, he could when he wasn't winging it. He really could connect. He had a real uncanny ability to make timing. He really understood timing real good in a unique way, because it just seemed like he was throwing off his back foot and just slinging it, but he made his timing count. That's what impressed me about him. He could be madly erratic though. He could be real maddening. And that's my cousin, so, and I'm not saying it because he's my kinfolk. What could I say? His underrated skill? I think how he unified the team. I don't think they got enough talked about. They really rallied on both sides of the rock. They came out, they played up. He really was like a coach on the field. I don't think that gets talked about near enough. He was just as important as Belichick and Parcells on the field. And I haven't seen too many people to take over games like him. He had an uncanny ability. Yeah, if he gets to play the way he's supposed to, but they don't utilize his size enough. They don't make the game easier. He's a double double waiting to have him every night. Doesn't get utilized the right way. And he's a victim of today's center. Big body who just gets kind of used as a standby, like a cut out cardboard. You know. His underrated skill, I think how he surveyed the field. Because when he get ready to run a kickback, he looked at everything. He doesn't get enough respect for his attention to details. You know, they look at the end result, but he would be out there looking and watching. Because again, for a guy who didn't like to get hit and could move like he did, he knew pockets. He knew how to. He utilized the field like a running back, like a receiver. I mean, he was a playmaker. That to me is his underrated skill. I have not seen too many people that can. I saw like Devin Hester was incredible. There's other guys that are incredible. Sapp um was always about money time. That's an underrated skill. What I mean is bring it on home. We got to go for the jugular. He wasn't sitting there trying to just do 4 quarters. He could make a hit early or could get at you. He was. He made it count. That was the strength about him. Not waste a lot of time. Bring the pain, and make sure that you ensure who you are. Stamp it with your identity. So I had a lot of respect for Sapp. Sapp was one of my favorite players back then. And I think it is an underrated skill when you can, you know. I think learning the line as he got older. I think that was the thing, because physicality was one thing, but I think his mental approach took another level. I think as time went on, that's how he was able to get more sacks and stuff. When you get greater is when your mind gets sharper. Michael Jordan made that point of once saying, he said, 80% of this game is mental. So if I got the physical tools and I wire it up mentally another notch, you're going to dominate because you're already defeated. There's not a lot that separates a lot of guys, though, if they're good. Good and great is separated by the mental mechanics to take it another level. That's what separates the great from the good, or from the average. Yeah, he won different ways. He won different ways. He got fired because his ego. He didn't want to relent. And Robert Kraft got in his behind and said, "Look, I'm tired of us with Mac and Cheese Jones and a Zappa and Zupa and all these other turkeys that just ain't cutting it." He got tired of being 6-11, five. Yeah, they do. But he had an imprint on all of it. When you can deliver, um, he came up big. He came up big. But yeah, Belichick had to go because if he's staying to break the all-time record, well, the way he's going, he need about 5 years because he only win about 4 games a season, and he really fell off bad. But see, the thing is this: I have this thing that I tell anybody: if you let a play, don't let a ring go out the door. It's one thing if you get to the playoffs, second round, okay. You get to the league conference championship, I gotta kind of like, okay, I got my eyeball. You go to the Super Bowl or you get to the finals or World Series or something, I got to pay attention because it's like, this guy went that deep. And if you win, I got egg on my face because I let a ring go out. You never let a ring leave. Brady put an egg on his face. Yeah. And I'm saying that's part of the reason why he had to go because Mac Jones got benched. Mac Jones was garbage. It didn't work. Mac Jones is too erratic, has a couple of decent games, and has about 8 to 10 where he's just the pits. That's on Belichick. This is the man that beat out Cam Newton and then your heir apparent to Brady, but then Zappa comes along and takes it. They have no quarterback. Yeah, Mahomes won different ways. Beat the 49ers in 2 different ways. That's true. Beat Philadelphia in a different way. That's what greatness does. That's why it becomes, after a while you become numb to it. You get mesmerized because the guy has such an uncanny ability to uh, digest and compartmentalize. He just really does it. But he had nothing to worry about because they ain't, as long as you call them shenanigans as if there's their coach, they gonna find a way to lose. You got nothing to worry about. You got nothing to worry about. That's a waste of team over there. So yeah, nothing to worry about with that. If the 49ers don't do something soon, they're gonna lose again. So I mean, they've been the best team in the NFC, but they've been stuck in, they can't get the job, they can't get it done, they can't get to the finish line. So I hope it's worth it. And usually teams like that don't win. You lost 2 Super Bowls, you choked 2 Super Bowls, been to 4 NFC championship games. You don't usually turn the tide. Eventually something goes away. That would be a good fit for them. It'd be a dangerous fit. It might even be the most dangerous fit of them all, even more so than Mike Evans and Devontae Adams, because they don't really run, and he wouldn't have to do a whole lot except get by the goal line. So him and Isaiah would be scary. That would be scary. I don't think much of it. There is nothing to get excited about. What you gonna do? I know they try to make a big deal about Golden State inquiring about no, he wouldn't keep him honest. They would be that would be scary because that actually bring back the power back. They would look like they were doing something new, which is actually something old. That's common sense. That would be unfadable because that adds 2 or 3 years to his career, and that adds 3 or 4 more years to Mahomes. And with Andy Reid getting, that would be scary. That would be a wrap. If he's healthy and motivated, that's a wrap. You heard it here first. The trade deadline don't mean nothing because there's nothing to move. Um, yeah, return to the back, especially with a high potent offense that's a dominant team too. And right now, nobody cares about running backs. Please, that would be the rich getting richer and smarter. There's nothing exciting about the trade deadline. Nothing. Not at all. Nothing. Um, you'd have to make something that no one saw coming, but there's nothing to get excited about. I haven't been excited about a trade deadline in so long. I don't know. Well, it depends on who we're talking about, and then it depends on what kind of team we're talking about. If a guy's got a no trade clause and he's protecting himself from going to a scrub team, then that's cool. So I got no problem with cats can negotiate. I have no problem with that. Um, I just don't like it when cats cry and moan like James Harden, who had all that money in Durant too. They don't Contracts don't mean nothing, and Kyrie too. Those papers don't mean nothing. Guys got up out of there, cried and moaned and got up out of there. Anthony Davis too. So I don't really think much about it, you know. So trade clause, no trade doesn't mean much. Well, when they're losing, they got, they talk around and, you know, I mean, it depends on what manager we talk about, but, you know, they always have to work it out through the media and then they have to private meetings. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Come on now. Pop. Yeah. Pop got the most out of all starting five. That's a great coach right there. Parker and Ginobili, Duncan Robinson, Hall of Famers. Kawhi Leonard gonna be a Hall of Famer. Come on now. You coach up guys who are fresh and you have your way of doing it and your stylings. That's automatic. George Carl has had name players and players and done good, but he's not seeing Popovich's resume. No shape or form. I could take Gary Payton and put him with Pop. He'd have been even better because Pop coaches like that. He installed a certain style with his play. Pop is that kind of coach. Carl liked a lot of what we call flash, camera flash, and it had its place. But Pop beat you in different ways. George Carl can only get you with the styles and the glitz. That's the difference. So, you know, I don't even, I don't even want to, because that's like a blowout. That's not even fair. That's like asking me, um, who could I pick on? God, give me somebody to pick on. I'm thinking about baseball. Bruce Bochy, and Buck Showalter. That's what Ted would ask me. Well, one guy had opportunity to coach all those teams and didn't get it done. The other guy coached multiple teams, got it done. That's the difference. Bochy got it done. Leland got a ring with the Marlins though, and Leland was great. But you see, when a guy has opportunities, plural, and doesn't get it, Leland got a ring. He got a ring. And I hate the, I don't really want to make baseball because baseball, it's not fair because in baseball, too many things got to go right. But I'm trying to make a fair comparison with that, with the Pop George Carl. Now, George Carl had some great regular season teams, but postseason was a different animal, and that's where you watch more as a coach. Sorry, I didn't make the rules. You know, so well, no, it's not even a debate. But I was breaking it down. George Carl would have had to win at least 2 or 3 rings. Then it may have been a little more interesting. But he got no rings, and he only got one finals appearance. And he had 2 teams in Seattle that won 60 plus games at back at the time when that was still a freaking big deal. So, and then with the Denver Nuggets and the OO. So, no, he's not in the same. He's not in. Popovich is like this. He can't see George Carl. He driving on the street. He can't see him. Well, he just doesn't have the next gear to make the team better, and that's the problem. You know, um, you got to win 100 games. You got to come up with an Aaron Boone. You got to come up with Gene Carlstadt. You got to come up with Cole. You got to make a count. I don't know how many more years and chances he's going to get. So that's why I don't have much expectation for this year. I mean, if they get off to a good start, I don't care. And matter of fact, I don't even care until we get to September, October, because if you're a Yankee fan, you don't care about nothing till you're late September, October. That's the only one you care about. That other stuff is just window dressing. Pitching and health is key. Yeah, he coached Dave Robinson. He coached from Robinson, Duncan, Parker Ginobili to Kawhi. You know, all Hall of Famers. And he coached Ego. And he got, again. So, he's got that going for him. He got 5 rings, 6 finals appearances. He's one of the greatest ever. And you got to put him against guys that can sit at the table, not guys that he's at this table and that other guy's like, hey, what's up, Greg? And he's doing one of these. Because that's how he's looking at George Carl. You ever been out somewhere and someone hollers at you at the mall, and so you're over here at the food court, and they all the way over by Target or Target, all the way, and you're like, yeah, where that coming from? You gotta get some binoculars. That's what Popovich is looking at George. He's gonna need some binoculars. He can't see him. Tell you all them rings, he can't see him. All that dominance, he can't see him. So, no. Yeah. I can't see you. I tell Ted all the time about my homes. I say, you drive down the street. I can't see Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. I can't see, wait, Lamar, Deshaun. What's up? Well, I used to do that back in the 90s with Derek Jeter. People used to crack up. I said, he said he can't see. He got too much glass. He like Liberace. Got too much of this. Brady too. Cats got all, they can't see you. They hit the steering wheel or their horse and carriage on it. They can't see you. Shoot. Guy's got a handful of rings. He can't see you. Don't compare. It's not the same. You know. And that's It's cold, but that's the truth. That's the truth. You know. It's like that though when we talk sports on TV too. You know. Um, like Shannon Sharp compared to Keyshawn and Richard Sherman. So he getting all these shows. I can't see them. He ain't got no time to be worried about Skip's numbers being in the toilet. He can't see nobody. You know, you can use that to a lot of situations. You know, when someone is like upper tier, someone down a tier. Because I always tell all the time there are tiers to this. Feelings get hurt, but hey, there are tiers to it. It's just like in music too. Stop comparing. You know somebody ain't up to point. You can have your favorites, yes, but you know that somebody ain't up to point. Don't make that comparison. It's not gonna end well. So, oh yeah, you were definitely on Too Raw. Uh, Byron got to two finals, and Flip was a good coach. No, there's no. Let me tell you why. Both are fruits, so you can debate on which fruit you like better. I have no problem with this because I'm gonna tell you why. They both underachieved, but in different reasons. Byron didn't finish what he started, and then he actually went off worse than Flip as his career went on because had he stopped with the Nets, this would have been a laughable debate. But Flip did get to the Eastern Conference Finals with Detroit and lost to Miami in 6 games. He underachieved with the Minnesota Timberwolves with KG. I want to say with San Gasol, and I want to say with Latrell. So if you're professional, you got top tier players, potential all stars. It's debatable. It's not apple and oranges with that. Byron had Jason Kidd. Flip had KG, I believe, and he had Chauncey was Finals MVP. But his style, unlike Larry Brown, kind of laxed. That was the difference. He kind of laxed off on them, whereas Larry kept his foot on the neck. So Byron got more out of his players. Flip had good runs, but Byron got more. So that's how I would answer that. No, I don't mind it. And in my world, there ain't no apples and oranges because if they both in the same profession and they both dealing with top tier talent or whatever you're making a comparison with, oh, they debatable. It's debatable if they're in the same professions. You know, apples and oranges would be like if you asked me about Pat Riley against Tommy Lasorda. That's apples and oranges because he didn't have the known offensive force of a Magic or a Kareem. He had really good players. He did not have that. So that's apples and oranges in the same city. But if you're in the same profession, I can debate them. I can debate them because they both had top tier guys and they had pieces that complemented one another. It comes down to who utilizes and executes more. That's all. So crunch time and also how you utilize your pieces. Some coaches know how to utilize the bench and make strategic moves. Some don't. I think Byron's fault slow. Actually, Byron and Flip both fall short in that regard because they tended to get lulled and they would lose. Byron actually did pretty good against the Spurs, but actually Ginobili was out hustling them. And that series went 6. They had no answer for Shaq the first one, so that wasn't even fair. But the second one, uh, yeah, Ginobili about put their butt to sleep, and they weren't they weren't able to survive that. They had a chance in that series, but they were just too light in the cakes overall, and they get beat up. And then uh, Robinson was having a block party. Back in the day, not so much now. Not so much now. I disagree pretty much after I give you that valid point up until the Spurs won. After that, I don't see it. Golden State won on the road against. They won in various places. They beat Boston in Boston. They beat Cleveland in Cleveland. They closed out. Cleveland closed out in Golden State. Toronto closed out in Golden State. Uh, yeah, I agree with that. Uh, Lakers in the bubble. It doesn't really care to. If you go to the Phil Jackson, Pat Riley school, pop school back then, yeah, I'll give you that. 80s through the O's, yes. But anything past the 2010s, I don't. Home court don't really, because guys don't go to the free throw line. The Lakers get it, but it don't really. And you see where they are, but it's not really like something that's really. It doesn't really, because Boston looks horrible in the postseason at home. Make that make sense. Because I remember when that used to matter at the old Boston Garden. I can talk stories about that. No, he's just polarizing because a lot of cats who felt he shouldn't have got MVP issue. He was an old developer. And what I mean by that, for a point guard to get great at the middle part of his career was like, is he on steroids or was he, your questions? Because how did he become back to the future like he became like a Wonder Man, Where did he get to get? So the D'Antoni system was so crucial to his development. So he's kind of an odd anomaly. I respect him, but I question the MVPs. But make no mistake about it, that guy in Phoenix was a whole different dude than the one in Dallas. I did not see that coming. And he was old when he went to the Lakers. But that middle run with D'Antoni and him and Amari and them, Nash was a freak. He was a freak for a minute. But I didn't see it coming. But no, he's not overrated. He's not underrated. He's about where well, he could score, he could assist, he could move. I think the only thing is that his teams weren't strong and they didn't play no defense. And that 7-man rotation wore they butt out. Yeah, he played with Sean Marion, but it was when Amari Stoudemire was the one that was looking scary. So. Yeah, when they said they need no. Well, how did that turn out? How did that turn out? And Kyrie is on his last big league now because if Dallas don't work with him, I don't know where else he goes. I don't know where else. I don't know who else will put up with him. So he better not mess this up. But he did something to his face because guys never respected Nash. I said it before. And Kyrie probably still think he can take him. And, Nash was not a guy that got a lot of respect. And they thought that, hey, anybody that comes that can coach this team. Goes back to what I said. Everybody can't coach ego. There was Durant didn't say nothing, Harden didn't say nothing. They sat there and let that man get this, and then they subsequently fell to pieces. So that was on them. Okay. Like I said, Nash is a unique situation because he got great when he got older, but middle of his age, which was uncommon because at the time when he got rolling, Jason Kidd and Gary Payton were long in the tooth. And they weren't those guys. And why did it how this guy? So okay, Godfather. Yeah, Rod Strickland was a bad boy. He was one of my favorites coming up. He just had that kind of, if he felt like it, and that kind of like, that's the problem I had with Rod, because Rod was nice. Typical New York point guard, though. Let me see. I gotta think. Steph Magic, Oscar Robinson, Isaiah Thomas, John Stockton. Let's see. Steph Magic, Isaiah, Oscar Robinson, Stockton. That's 5 right there. And let me think, what else can I pick on? Um, Gary Payton. Let's see, and I gotta think who else I pick on. Um, he he might be top 10. He's like at the end though. I gotta think though. Uh, Bonds, Clemens, Deion Sanders, um, Larry Bird, Muhammad Ali, Tiger Woods, Serena Williams. Mm, um, yeah, yeah. Brady, yeah. Mahomes too, because he does his low key, but he does talk. Yeah, 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 yeah. But Ali's probably the goat of it. Yeah, my all-time favorite golfer. He was the first guy that ever made me stop dead in my tracks on Sunday to watch when he was getting on the 18th hole. I stopped. Oh yeah, because the Cincinnati Bengals was popping off and 49ers was too. Oh yeah. But he does it real low key though. But I seen him jaw a couple times. I know he do because you can't walk around. When I tell you walk around all them rings, cats talk crazy to him. I mean, the media talk crazy. I'm talking about y'all can't win on the road. What you gonna do? And he said, "Well, we just coming through." And I mean, yeah, he does it low key. Yeah, Tiger was on another level. He was something else 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago. Must see TV. Truly incredible. He was probably the most impactful. You talking about Stephen A. Smith? If you're talking about Stephen A. Smith, he is. If that's what you mean by SAS, because that's something I could think of. Yeah, he was said part of the media. I just want to see if he is, but I want to see you talking about. Yeah, and what about him? What about him? That yeah, he been part of media forever and a day. I go back to him when he was with Philadelphia, and he was around and he blew up, and they kept a couple dollars on him. But I don't care for him. He's a known tap dancer, and he shuffles and cries and moans. Oh, and I said, okay, the media. Okay, okay. Well, I don't really. It like if he talked trash about somebody, nobody's gonna care. He did. Well, he did. And Kwame Brown lit his butt up. And you've seen all the Kwame Brown videos. He shut him up. They got that picture meme right now with his 1.5 college average for the 1 year when he played or some mess. That's hilarious. They put that on the Wilt Chamberlain paper. That's hilarious. He gets trolled a lot. He brought a lot of stuff on himself. He brought a lot of himself. You know, I don't really talk about him unless something comes up. I try and I did the McAfee thing because they had an exchange with that, and I'm not big on McAfee, and I can't stand Stephen A. Smith. I not really feeling either one of them because really it's Shannon Sharp and maybe Mad Dog sometimes that make that show worth watching. Okay, but yeah, he got him removed. Yeah, Kellerman came a long way, and Kellerman was bringing it, but he don't like the competition. That's what happens. Ego is a funny thing, especially in the business. Ego is a funny thing. Cats got egos. So you say what they don't want you to jump a certain way. If you don't jump a certain way, they get mad. So Mad Dog, because he talks, you know, trenches, and he knows how to kind of mix and match that outlandish and that thing, you know. But he has a balance of humor and vitriol. So that's why. You have to have a balance. No, he's underrated. Anybody knows me know I'm a big Dwayne Wade fan. Basketball. On the court, I say it all the time. It's not popular, but I got him tied with Kobe as my second two guard ever. Jordan's number one by himself. The leadership qualities, you should listen to the Udonis Haslam interview with Jeff Teague if you haven't. The leadership qualities of this man, he brought LeBron up to, it's like he gave him another gear, deferring but also showing him the way, being a leader, giving the extra defense, offense. He made himself into a force, and that gets lost a lot. No, he's underrated in terms of how he was instrumental in orchestrating that team and deferring, but also getting them to they buy in as a young player. Got to remember that big brother to him, because without him, I don't know if LeBron has half the success he has. Quite to the same. He went to Miami for a reason, and no matter what LeBron tries to downplay Miami, even Shannon Sharp, who's the biggest LeBron's cheerleader there is like, yo, if you don't go to Miami, we're not having this discussion about how high you are all the time. You needed that. That's a fact. So Riley helped him in terms of getting his vision. He got him more cohesive. Uh, but Dwayne Wade got him on the court, got him paced. You know, they all helped out. Udonis did. Bosch was the best teammate he ever had, and I've said that many times because you got to have somebody who's willing to defer, who has top qualities, but he also plays his role and he does all the dirt. Because everybody's not gonna play to do the dirt and play top role. So yeah, well, yeah, he gets you to unify. He understands blue collar, white collar. That's his strength. He knows how to make it roll as one. He sells you on the champagne and the caviar. However, you're gonna have a lot of hard boiled eggs. That's what makes Riley incredible. So, you know. But they were, like I said, that all culminated. But then Dwayne Wade doesn't get his due. He never gets his due. He really set in motion, and he got it. Yeah, as much as you can be. As much if you fit his blue collar mindset, he stays loyal to you. He keep you around certain guys. If I had to pick a team right now, it's the Denver Nuggets. I could be wrong, but I can't see nobody beating them. Not if they're healthy and motivated. I can't. They big, they strong, they got the best player in the league, and they look like they just stand tallest than anybody. I don't see nobody in the East that I would bet a dollar on. I just don't. Even if Embiid was healthy, I just don't. Even as a Miami Heat fan, we're too light in the cakes, too small, too light. Teams in the East gonna beat up on each other, but I'm not sold on nothing over there. Not sold on nothing. Boston is jump shoot team, three ball, and if it don't go in, they in trouble. Milwaukee got the size and Giannis, but they can be had. And if Dame comes up short and their defense comes up short, they're in trouble. And Philadelphia without Joel Embiid, they're just another team, and I just don't really see it. So out west, it's Denver, and then it's the rest of the field. I haven't seen nobody else that I would say fits the criteria. Not saying the teams couldn't give them a bad matchup in the postseason, but if they're best, I'm more convinced they can win again. I really am. You know. But I will say this though: if Denver doesn't come out the West, the East will win the chip because I just don't think it's close. Yeah, Trey Young out hustle in that game. That's the one I was talking about with Danny Gallinari act like he was gonna swipe or foul uh Ben Simmons, and Ben Simmons was never been the same since. But you know, oh, if you say so. I didn't think that last year with the Warriors and Lakers. If refs had to say about it. I don't know. You must saw something I didn't see. If they do. If they do. Back in the day, it used to be home court cooking. So if you got back home, the whistle was going to blow more for you because Phil Jackson used to talk through the papers as did Pat Riley. But it doesn't matter like that no more because we don't play basketball like that no more. You get a ton of help from the refs. But they're not really that special because you're only 4 games over 500. So it's not exactly like the refs. They can't cover up how average your team is. That's just a fact. Just an average team. Without the refs helping your butt, yeah, probably would be about 2 games under 500 right about now. Just saying. That's the difference. It's probably about 3 or 4 games that swung your way because of the refs. I know that game against Toronto and the game against Phoenix, that one game that y'all was bad. No, there was about 2 or 3 games. Right now, that's the difference. He's a great coach. He understood how to get to cut the fat off. He was a polisher. He's an example of a polished coach. It's not gonna miss X and O's, but philosophy about making you do things a certain way, the way it has to go a certain way, how you rotate, how you move, how your motion goes. Great coach, great motivator as far as that goes. You know, certain players thrive in the system though, and it takes a certain type of player too. You know, some people say, well, everybody couldn't coach. Those some of the guys he coached. Obviously, when Kobe didn't have him, he ran the other coaches out. So Phil had a way of getting his message across. Um, he was spiritually inclined in attitude, but he was very hands on to who you know, he was very direct. And he would call you out inadvertently or maybe talk about you in the third way, you know. So, But that man was a great coach, though. Now, good coaches are guys who get 2 or 3 rounds deep, maybe got a finals appearance, you know. But a guy that won like Phil, he's a made man. It's beyond because you not only did you coach some of the greatest players ever, but also you won at a level. So hey, if you're gonna have that kind of ego, you got to finish it up, and he did. So that's a made man. That's just like Pat Riley. That's like Popovich. That's like Red Auerbach. Those guys are made men because you did it at a high level. You know, leave no doubts. Leave no doubts. So, money. It always comes down to money, and ESPN don't pay, and they only want you to do a certain type of segment. So, he got the Fox. He had more options. He had more. Obviously, you saw what he did. So the ESPN doesn't pay. They get guy. They'll get you on the ground floor and they'll get you hooked up, but it's up to you to make that wheel spin. Very few have. You know, Stephen A. To his credit has, uh, but most times when people leave ESPN, it's over the money and a lack of creative control. Because ESPN pretty much runs it like a plantation. They run game. So that's why Colin Cowherd left too, and Whitlock and Screw Chris Broussard and all of them. And Rob Parker got let go, but pretty much the same thing. You know, it's about the dollars and then the cents, and then what we gonna politic too. You know, I don't think nobody's gonna go to Fox to ESPN. I don't think so, but the other way around they will. Excuse me. That's why I look at it like that. In terms of what? You talking about the now or you talking about ever? What's your question? Oh, you talking about the last 20 years? It's New England, the blowout. Dallas ain't got New England got one ring is bigger than what Dallas has done the last what 25 years? Cause you gotta go back to 96. Yeah, you go last 20 years, it's New England a blowout. I mean, they had one head coach for Dallas had Dave Campbell, Chad Galen, Jason Garrett, Mike McCarthy. Yeah, they have a four. Wait, Phil, they had five coaches. New England's had only one coach up until this year. It's not even close. Six Super Bowls, nine appearances. Yeah, Campbell soup. That's a compliment. I don't give that turkey no nickname because he sucked. But um they New England got more Super Bowl wins than Dallas has postseason wins. They got more Super Bowl trophies than Dallas, I think, has had postseason, if I'm not mistaken, because Romo had two and Dax got three. That's it. They've been their two main quarterbacks the last. Yeah. So, yeah, that's not even up for discuss. That's not even funny. That's not even funny. That's not even funny. So there you go. Yeah, if you're talking about the last 25, it's not even close. They got more trophies than Dallas has got postseason wins. Yeah, but them two. Um, I think that he tapped in with underrated skill is like just being able to relate. I think that's his most underrated skill. He really connects with his guys. They really play hard for him. He got a lot out of guys. He's Mr. Rah Rah Rah. So yeah, but yeah, yes, yes, C81. That's not really even close. That's almost like the Popovich George Carl, except if you weren't around, Dallas did win Super Bowls back in the 90s, but that's a lifetime ago now. I mean, we're talking about, oh man, we're pushing 30 years now. And that's, for that in football, that's ancient. Um, I think his leadership impact with the team, I really do think guys feed off of him. I really do. It's underrated because he doesn't get talked about enough, but they really believe in him. They want him to succeed. So that's what I would say about him. They don't always agree with everything, but I think they're more in favor of him than they are in Sean McDermott. I do. Because they're not cutting anybody on the offense hardly. So, but, well, I really don't talk about Tua too much. I mean, I just think that he looks down the field better. You know, that's his because he definitely spots that better as his time has gone on. That's his bread and butter. No, heck no. Look, I said I love Dirk, but he ain't. But no, Tim Duncan's like top five. Not swaying from that. No, Dirk was great, one of the greatest ever. You could say late teens. You could say anywhere from 18 to 27 or something like that. To a fish. Well, he be sinking like he coming out fish out of water when he play in the cold and he gets hit because you get whacked. But no, Duncan was just too much for him. Not even fair. Not even fair. Dirk cannot see it with Duncan. Duncan is one of those guys that's like another level, you know. Mm. How much I like, and I got respect for Dirk big time. When I make the comparison with Dirk and Kevin Durant, that's more comparable. When you start going up against Tim Duncan, that's not even in the same atmosphere. Yeah, they both got finals MVPs and league MVPs and all-star game MVPs, but body of work, catalog, impact, depth, etc. It's not fair. It's not fair. Duncan is just Yeah, he was on another level. Dirk would have had to win like 3 rings, 3 Finals MVPs, 2 league MVPs, and also he would have had done all that. And it's Duncan was just, you know, just a different level. I haven't really came with no names for Tua because I don't really, me and Tua. I like the fact that he can stay afraid play because as long as he's healthy, but it's a one trick pony. I think Miami plays too much gimmick football, and I think he gonna from get a concuss and be out for good. I just not buying what they're putting down. I'm not buying it. They don't really want to pound. They finesse. They get beat the same way. Get beat up in the cold. Get slung around, beat up. So I just not really now. Flashy and fun, yes. Probably one of the funnest teams to watch play. But when it comes to crunch time, they get crunched. Just too light in the cakes and too soft, and they got a gimmick coach. Yeah, they winning games. They'll give you some games. But you remember that game against Dallas? It took that goal line, that field goal. You know, just not a team that's really geared like that. So you know, that's my knock against them. So yeah. Well, he's playing his role. I mean, he's good with the Clippers. I mean, as much as you can expect at this stage of his career, he's trying to fit in and trying to play for a chip. That's the only thing that eludes his resume. I mean, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's considered one of the greatest ever, and hard worker, hard fight. So it's like I get that chip. That's it right now. He's not stat padding no more because the triple doubles then subsided. He cooled off on that because he's playing with a coach that's using him in minutes capacity. He's not letting him just sit out there and just play 21 and run the drift like a deer out there. So they got a purpose and a reason, and we're gonna find out what they got. They're gonna find out what the Clippers are made of real soon. If they can stay healthy, and we're gonna see if you're motivated. All things being equal, it's gonna be real telling. Because all their four guys got something to prove. The head coach too. Ty Lue was to win this, that would put him in the elite group with 2 rings. Kawhi Leonard needs to remind people that he belongs in the same conversation with Steph, LeBron, and Durant. People forgot the last 10 years. I'm talking about a certain era because he belongs with that era. That era is almost coming to a close. Paul George has to remind people that he needs it for his, because his career that's the thing. And he come up big and he hasn't. So that's big. James Harden, it would be, no, not for me. Top 15, not top 10. He'd have to have more than 1 ring and he'd have to have a more dominant presence. Can't put him top 10 though. No. I got others way ahead of him. And his career is at a point where he'll be in the very good class, but not great. He'd have to do something like really spectacle to get to that. So so now. Yeah, and it would be huge for him because there'd be 3 different teams. And if he was the finals MVP, he remind folks. Then it would be like, oh, okay, because we forgot about. Yeah, he's considered one of the 75 greatest players, but that load management and that diva attitude and that nonchalant shrug shoulders and all this other stuff then got in the way. He's kind of forgotten. You forget how great he can be. you know. So he's got a lot of redeeming to do. So okay. They won't give it to him more unless he has some other body. And I haven't seen any. I haven't felt. I don't know how he gonna get it over Kawhi and Paul George. He'd have to revert back to his Houston days. He hasn't been that dude in about 6, 7 years, if I'm honest, because I didn't really see it in Brooklyn, and I sure didn't see it in Philly. So I don't see it. Unless, of course, he did average a triple double and they were like 21 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds, and a couple steals. Then, yeah, that's the only way. But he's a guy that's kind of almost forgotten now. So, 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 yeah. They are looking for a ring for different reasons, but I think, uh, yeah, well, it's been long enough. They should have their own. They ain't got a billionaire owner. They should have their own building. But Kawhi and Ty Lue would be real huge, real huge. So so yeah. So um, yeah, I guess it would be, but I don't think that a lot of people see that happening. No, I don't. I don't, because their reputation of injuries and ego and attitude. I had to let to see that played out. If they won, it would be one of the biggest. Then the NBA would definitely save their behind. If the Clippers won, that would do gigantic business because all them stories that I mentioned, plus Ty Lue, Steve Ballmer, that would be huge. That would be the most gangsterous thing you could ever do. And then the Lakers would be like begging him to stick. That would be interesting. Then do you go or do you leave? So yeah, but I don't think that's gonna happen. No, I just don't. It could, and it almost certainly should because of the talent they got. But this is the Clippers we're talking about. They'll find a way to wreck it. Yeah, I mean, they've done too many years, and I mean, it's just like because you got guys who are top, guys who are like who could be this or that, you know, and I mean, think about it. You got three of the guys who are considered top 75 ever. Another guy that would have been knocking, he'll be on the top 100 if they win, Paul George, maybe. So, and a coach that if he wins, he moves as one of the 15 greatest coaches probably ever with two chips. If Tyler Lue with all them finals appearances and the win. So, a lot would change if they did it, but I don't see it. I don't see it. So, but it would make an incredible story. I'm not going to even lie. That mess would be like one of the biggest stories and surprises the NBA has had in aliens. Because you talk about redemption stories, and they do like redeem stories. Let me give an example. When Shaq won with Pat Riley in Miami, they both needed that ring. Uh, it would be Kobe post Shaq. That was a big one. LeBron went Cleveland. You know, they like stories. They like stories. You know, Kawhi's Toronto run, which, you know, that was a story itself. So they like stories. But that one would probably be the mother of them all because that team had such a bad reputation. A lot of guys got guys. Three of the starters are top 75 ever, and so that makes logical sense. But I don't think it's going to happen. That would be hilarious. That'd be hilarious. Yeah. So, well, it won't be one of them Nick Wright banners. You know, that'd be funny. He trolled the Bills, but I couldn't even argue with him when he had the best team in September banner. You know, you gotta be careful with all that. But, you know, so yeah, he came up with the Bills banners, and you know, so sometimes he do be funny. I'm not arguing. I can't even argue against when you troll and you're funny because, you know, it's the facts. So that's just the facts. So, but yeah, the Clippers thing would be that'd be crazy. Well, he funny when he troll, but the problem with Skip is so desperate now that you can't tell it because he's slurping and he's just desperate. He's trying to make throw darts in the dark and nothing is hitting the wall because he's stuck with some turkeys who just ain't got no appeal. So he's really up a creek. And the Lakers aren't going to do him no wonders, and the Cowboys ain't doing no wonders. So, and I think he's jumping on wagons. He's looking for a wagon. He's hoping Denver. He might jump a wagon. Not really. Not really, because he still broadcasted, but Shannon took the step. Not really, because he didn't. He said it. The game must go on. That's how them white folks think. That's how their business operates. They really didn't really. The Hamlin thing shook them up. However, it wasn't like they were like, we're going to make him have an excuse for the day. Despite what he said, he was still there by himself. Shannon didn't show up. So they didn't come at him about that. They didn't come at him about nothing. He wasn't canceled over nothing because he was disrespectful to Shannon Sharp. Talking about, well, your three rings ain't the same as, basically said his stuff didn't count. He disrespected a man who played the game. Emmett Smith laid into him. Disrespect the man who played the game, who won in different places, just like Brady did. Guy who's considered one of the greatest at his position, just like Brady. Now he isn't. Uh, that was it right there. Those two. Of course, his Kareem hate is obvious, and you know, but any nitpicks on certain things. But the whole thing with Shay about Brady and about Hamlin and certain things about Kareem, I cringe. I mean, I just And then we went on about Mike McCarthy about his weight, and Jenny got into his behind. I have no problem with that. If you disrespecting somebody who underachieves, I'm not tripping. I know why you are, but I don't have. See, Aaron Rodgers has been. Aaron Rodgers gets on my nerves because he pout face all the time and he wants the strings, but yet he wants to chew everybody out and blame everybody and point fingers. You can't have it both ways. He's a diva like LeBron is. The only difference is LeBron's got a better resume, but they cut from the same type of cloth. Aaron Rodgers is always like relaxed, everything's gonna be cool, but he don't play the same rules that he preaches. So I don't have no problem with him. He disrespect him because he come up short for a guy who they call the greatest, baddest man on earth, full-time league MVP, only got one Super Bowl. He mixed on him only because Josh is one of those guys that can come around and belong in the conversation. But he ain't full drinking him, though. No, he ain't doing that. Now, I will give Skip his due. He slurps Joe Burrow. He doesn't really rock with Mahomes like that. He gives him some respect, but he don't slurp him. So I will give him that. He slurps Joe Burrow. He doesn't slurp Mahomes or Josh. He gives Lamar his due. So there you go. So he is consistent on that part. He is consistent on that part. Yeah. So but he actually is pretty and he will, but Brady ain't gonna give it to him. And he disses Dak all the time too. So it can't say that you know, he be accurate with them with his, where he is with certain people. I will give him that. I will give him that. He's a Cowboy fan. He ain't big on Dak though, and he don't really care for McCartney. So I will give him that. I give him that. Brady ain't gonna interview with him. Well, he will when it come to Fox, but it's gonna be like streamlined questions. It ain't gonna be, you know. Yeah, he will. Brady's a good interview. Brady actually, cause Brady pretty much shoots from the hip. I think Brady's gonna be just like Troy Aikman on there. I think he'll do great. I don't know if he'll be as warm and fuzzy and casual as Tony Romo, but he's gonna do great though. He'll do great. You know. So well, he did call them bum. He says a lot of bums out there and scrubs, so he said that already, but he never aired his coach out, so I can't take him too deep because he was one of the ones and Mac Jones was one of the ones. So you know what I'm saying? You know. I love him to tell it like it really is to say, look, I got replaced by that. They not even worth they're not even worth playing they're worth half a football game. You got to go through multiple quarterbacks. He can tell. Well, Mac Jones wasn't a bum. He was a scrub. They got scrubs over there. They don't have a bum. Cam may have been considered one because he could have been better at points in New England season because he better than Mac Jones right now on his couch. But they got scrubs over there quarterback. That's the problem they got. And then you got the audacity to say you're gonna replace this guy with those guys. Those 2, 3 guys couldn't see Brady. They couldn't. They're not. So that's why Robert Kraft was like, "Look, you got to go. You keep bringing these scrubs in, you got to go." So I get it. I get it. But anyway, that's all that was as far as that go. Yeah, well, the NFL figures if you stay cheap, you can win with the system. You know, I mean, so you get a guy like Nick Foles who doesn't fall into that category, but he wins behind Carson Wentz. And they say, hey, maybe that'll work if we supply enough talent around a guy. Um, you know, Russell Wilson, who I consider Hall of Fame worthy, that system was there with the defense. It's changed in the last decade. So you think about it, because Mahomes is great, Brady was great, Matthew Stafford was good. Uh, I got to put my thinking cap on because I got to think about the Russell Brady. Um, so there's different ways that they got quarterback, with systems. So that's what's up. That's how I look at it. So, you know, I mean, the 49ers are winning with a system. If you think about it, that's how they get to the Super Bowl. But Jimmy G and Brock Purdy are not what you consider top tier quarterbacks, but they win a lot. So that system, that's what I'm getting at. That's how it's so different as opposed to Brady and Mahomes. So that's why Cam Newton so eloquently tried to tell these people who don't understand the system, and then there's the dynamic. So it's different levels to it. It's so compartmentalized now, it's not even funny. Well, yeah, because they can beat you getting physical, they can beat you getting finesse, and then they can kind of do a hybrid. That's where teams, and then some days the field goal kicker, he's on fire. That's all they need. It all depends on what it calls for. That's when you got versatility. Okay, I thought you were gone. Okay, I'm glad you're back. Okay. Well, that's next year. I can't really answer that now because we're not in football season. I mean, if I had to make an early prediction and a forecast, I'd say Baltimore. But I wouldn't rule out Cleveland if they ever get a quarterback and get that together. They got everything but the quarterback right. They got everything but the quarterback. I pull for Deshaun Watson, but I just don't know. But I know if Lamar was on Cleveland, they coming out the AFC. That's how stacked they are. They can run, they got defense, they got offense. They just don't have the quarterback. And that's the difference. Yeah, but you're not that far off. And like I told you before, the NFC ain't like the AFC, yo. You get one piece here and there, you can get, because look at Detroit. Detroit could have been in the Super Bowl. They finished smart and didn't get cute. Well, Lamar, and that the difference. But I'm just saying, Cleveland has got everything but the quarterback. That's what they're missing. Had the quarterback, they would be a feared team because their style actually works good against Kansas City. They just don't have the quarterback. They need everything. Their defense is good, but it could be better. Um, I'm just not sold on it. I just think too much mediocrity with a lot of things. And I think they're hoping that Captain Saber hero Aaron Rodgers will save them and cover their shortcomings. And he's a real rental. He's old, and I don't see a lot coming out of it. I just don't. I just don't. So, and he probably got 2 years on the pool date anyway, and I think he'll probably must be gone, win or lose, another year or two. That's it. He's not going to be a 40-year. Harbaugh will do good. You know, Hubert, they can't do worse. After a coach like Staley, they won't do stupid stuff. No, no. Drew Brees got out at the right time. He got out the right time. Russell may look like he passed the pull date. Russell look old. He had some good games. I know he had one less touchdown than Mahomes, but his team wasn't much better. No, Breeze got out at the right time. Better to wonder if you still got it than to have people thinking that you're done. Yeah, but they also got to make sure Herbert doesn't get cute, and they have to make sure that he doesn't lose his confidence. That's the key. That's what the big thing is. Can Herbert come up big, and can he stay healthy? Can they stay motivated? Because they got the talent, but you got to be able to finish up. So easier said than done. Easier said than done. Remember, Andy Reid driving down the street like this. So it's easier said than done. And you saw how they won this year. So that AFC West is a bachelor pad right now for KC. So I'm not even till it's proven otherwise. But their Chargers should be better. They got a legit coach now. That's their fault. With that gimmick dude, that was embarrassing. Because he about set them back 5 years. So it'll be interesting. What can he do? He's not going to win right out the box. NFL is not like that. So, but they'll be vastly better though. They better be. If they don't, Herbert's going to be one big disappointment. So, and he got a lot of upside to him, but he come up big, they in trouble. So, but no, Russell, if he had a retired, he didn't go to, if he'd have stopped, yeah, a lot of people want Murray, but they can't get what they want from Murray. And then maybe they don't think it was Murray's fault, so they're going to look around. No, you would be kind of, he played a good game against Philly. Kyler Murray got a lot of upside. They just got to get the pieces in place. He's anywhere from, I think you can rank him anywhere from 13 to 23, 13 to 21, something like that. A lot will depend on the Phoenix run. If he wins another ring, he moves way up. He's knocking near top 10. He has to win another ring and the finals MVP. Cause then he'd get 30,000 points, and then you factor all that in, then it'd be hard not to keep him because he's that close. But if he folds like a chair, he scores a lot of points, but he never wins another ring. He'll be in that top 25 discussion as one of the greatest ever in that high tier. However, it won't be as high as it could be if he wins another ring and the finals MVP. So he's got a lot to play for. Because I think whoever wins another ring and the finals MVP out of him and Kawhi Leonard will seal that deal, regardless of how many points Durant scores. That will be the deal breaker for those two. I think it's like neck and neck with them two. Because they both got high impact to me. Durant's got league MVP, but I think when you offset everything, it's close. So I think you can make it. I think you can make a debate with them too, as far as that. So it's big. But Durant feels like he belongs in a higher conversation. He don't get why people don't look at him like that. So, you know. And I don't hold him going to Golden State against him at all, because as a matter of fact, to me, that was the best basketball he ever played in his career, if you must know. He's never been more scarier than he was cool or than he was with Golden State. His shots flicked off his wrist a certain way. His motion was a certain way. He was a cobra. And I don't look at him the same since. He looked good in Brooklyn at first, then he faltered. And then Phoenix looks like the man trying to make one last roll call. So that's how I kind of look at it. So anyway, I think I'm gonna wrap it up in just a second because I've been on for almost 3 hours. It's been great chopping it up, and I will be back tomorrow. Appreciate everybody that came through. Appreciate all the questions, all the time. We touched on a lot of bases. Please bring the energy again. Stay warm, stay safe. Appreciate everybody that came through. The best, the peace. Thanks for making the show great. Thanks for all the comments, commentary. We touched on a lot of bases. Yes, I did. I'll answer this before I go. Yes. This will be the last one before I go. Yeah, I didn't stutter. Tim Duncan is like top 5. KD's like somewhere between 13 and 22. I ain't stutter. He's not in his rear view. Duncan's like this. Plus, Duncan got numbers. Duncan had postseason impact, team leader, etc. It's no comparison. KD can score more, and you could say I'm better offensive force, but what else can you give him over Duncan? You can say he's maybe more athletic to an extent, but Duncan, no, it's not close. Not close. Not to me. Do something in Phoenix and where we can talk, but I can't quite see him there. And he's not cementing Duncan. All right, I'm out now. I'll catch you. I got to go. We'll talk tomorrow. Peace, the best. Stay up. Let's do it again. Let's run it back. Appreciate you. I'm out.